The League Championship Series on Fox is sponsored by Nintendo DS and the Touch Generation Series. Great games anyone can play. By Singular, raising the bar. By Oral-B Vitality, the new plaque-busting rechargeable toothbrush for under $20. And by Taco Bell, think outside the bun. Well, it's a little bit better than our friends had in Detroit earlier this afternoon as the Tigers go up 3-0 with a dominant pitching performance in game number 3. 2 hits allowed. That's it. 53 degrees. It's supposed to get colder as we go. In the batting order for St. Louis, Eckstein will lead it off at short. Chris Duncan is in the number 2 spot. Then Albert Pujols is hitting third. Jim Edmonds cleans up. Spezio in there. Roland is out. Encarnacion in right. Ronnie Belliard at second. Yadier Molina and Chris Carpenter, the pitcher, batting in the 9th spot. And here is the young right-hander, John Maine, 25 years old, and a 6-game winner from the regular season. John Maine's pitcher profile is brought to you by Exxon and Mobil Retailers.
And this is from Willie Randolph. Deceptive speed. He can make mistakes up in the strike zone. Of course, that's like most pitchers. And I think realistically, what the Mets hope from John Maine tonight is similar to Game 1 in the League Division Series against the Los Angeles Dodgers, to go through the lineup twice.
The NLCS is brought to you by Budweiser Select. Brewed longer for a bold taste that finishes clean. Expect everything. Yeah, off we go. Game number 2. Mets up 1-0. It was Glavine last night, and this guy throws a lot harder. John Maine, the right-hander, 93 miles an hour, and a strike to David Eckstein. That's into right center field. Beltran going to get it. 1 out. Well, you know, Beltran is in center. To his left, Sean Green. To his right, Andy Chavez. And around the infield, that good young left side of Wright and Reyes, the two 23-year-olds. On the right side, Valentin and Delgado. See the 104 errors by this group in the regular season, the fewest that they've committed since 2001. Here's Chris Duncan, the rookie, 22 home runs in his rookie season, takes a strike. That's what he did in the division series against San Diego, 0-2.
And Maine's not afraid. He's going to go right after these hitters.
And ball 1 outside. Luis Gonzalez talking about the importance of Chris Duncan batting in front of Pujols. Maine has him in the hole, 1-2. Wow, that was a 57-footer. 2-2.
Looked like an off-speed pitch of some kind with Albert Pujols waiting on deck. And as Luis said, if Chris Duncan has a good game, chances are Albert Pujols will have a good game.
That's wide. Good eye by Duncan. It's a full count. His dad, Dave Duncan, the longtime cohort with Tony La Russa, watching his son. Ground one to the right of Valentin. Grabs it, throws it, 2 out. Our MasterCard keys of the game as we play here with 2 out and nothing shaking in the first. And they boo Pujols. Here you go. Try to get an early lead behind Chris Carpenter. And Pujols will do his best. Now, the reason why they are reacting the way they are to Albert Pujols, not just because he's the feared slugger of the St. Louis Cardinals. He was quoted as saying, as he analyzed the start by Tom Glavine last night, that he wasn't good at all. Last night he was hitless, and he starts tonight by flying to right. On the first pitch he sees from Maine. For the 25-year-old, good start after a half, no score. The League Championship Series on Fox is sponsored by your Exxon and Mobil Retailers. We're Drivers 2, by MasterCard, and by the new 2007 Lincoln Navigator. Chris Carpenter in the middle of all the action for St. Louis. He is the guy the Cardinals want on the mound. His regular season numbers, a 15-game winner, the reigning Cy Young Award winner from a year ago. Undefeated in his postseason history. And here is his pitcher profile, brought to you by Exxon and Mobil Retailers.
Of those 3 points, this is the most important, because last Sunday night against the San Diego Padres, by his own admission, he was nervous early. He tried to do too much. He walked 3 hitters, and the Padres scored 2 runs, and that was it, as the Cardinals won that game to come to the League Championship Series.
Jose Reyes first up. Lo Duca and Beltran will follow. Cardinals win in order in the first. Ball 1. That rare combination of power and speed for Reyes. 19 home runs, 64 stolen bases. A combination that management looks for with any professional athlete in any sport. Whether it's basketball, hockey, soccer, football, power and speed, and Reyes has it.
Yeah, when you have a guy like that, your third baseman's playing in on the grass, your first baseman's playing even with the bag, second baseman's playing in, he creates a nuisance on defense.
A shallow nuisance.
The 1-1 on the inside corner, 94 miles an hour, and to the surprise, Jose Reyes.
Tailing fastball to go up on the count on Jose Reyes. I think Jose may see that pitch again.
He hits a breaking ball into right field. Encarnacion will play it on 3 bounces, and Reyes has a double.
This guy hydrofoils around bases. A hanging breaking ball from Carpenter. Encarnacion a bit slow getting to the ball, a little cautious. But anytime Reyes hits a ball in that part of right field, it's going to be a double.
And then he wanted to get dirty. Now the infielders for St. Louis all out of whack, with Lo Duca at the plate, dropping down the bunt. The play is at first, 1 away. Over to third is Reyes. Sacrifice is scored 1-3 with Carpenter to Pujols. And the hero from last night swinging it, Beltran digs in. He hits third. Here is the rest of the lineup. Reyes, Lo Duca, Beltran, Delgado, Wright, and Green with a bottom 3. Chavez getting the start instead of Floyd. Still bothered by that left Achilles tendon. He re-aggravated it last night, so Chavez bats 8th in front of the pitcher, Maine. A bender in there for a strike from Carpenter. Beltran has hit 5 home runs in 28 NLCS at-bats against Cardinal pitching. 3 hits and 13 trips to the plate this postseason. Home plate umpire flinched, didn't call it a strike. 1 ball, 1 strike.
Yeah, you can read the body language of Jim Joyce, the home plate umpire. And Carpenter and Molina both wanted that pitch. Joyce said it was inside.
Runner at third, 1 out. Beltran takes ball 2.
And for Carpenter to have success against this New York Mets lineup, he's going to have that inside pitch.
The left-handed heavy New York Mets lineup. 2-1. Goes around the plate, 3-1. Carpenter, who is from New Hampshire, about as mild-mannered guy as you will run across in baseball, off the field, in the clubhouse, in a hotel lobby, on the mound, he is a bull. Beltran sitting on a pitch with a count 3-1. First and third, 1 out.
So far, excuse me, Joe. So far, Carpenter's stuff is flat. It's not sharp. He was sharp last Sunday. He was sharp against the Padres when he faced them initially in Game 1. But this is a different lineup he is facing tonight in the New York Mets.
Originally, when this series started, he was supposed to pitch Game 3 in St. Louis. Because of the rainout and the cancellation on Wednesday, Game 2 is tonight. He pitches on regular rest after starting and winning the clincher Game 4 against the Padres last Sunday. Delgado takes a ball. If you are one for statistics, look at the numbers at home this season. This is including the postseason. 9-4 in the ERA of 1.85, and on the road, 14 of the 21 home runs allowed this year and an ERA of 4.5. He is by a mile the Cardinals' best starter. La Russa gets him on the mound earlier in the series. Delgado out in front of that pitch, 1-1.
It's one of the statistics in baseball that can be explained quite easily. A road earned run average is understandable because most pitchers are pitching from a different mound. When they're pitching games at home, it's the same mound, the same stride, the same holes in the mound, the same elevation, the same slope. Of course, the elevation is supposed to be 10 inches on all mounds.
But all mounds are not created equally.
No, they're not.
First and third, one out, 1-1 pitch. Instead, step to third, look to first move. Glavine can be content and sit at the end of that dugout, happy with the job he did in Game 1. On the other hand, it's John Maine focused on what's going on tonight's starter. The 1-1. Delgado's going to put the Mets on top. That is crushed into left center. 3-0.
Fastball out over the plate. Tremendous power to left center field as the Mets take a 3-0 lead.
For a guy who has waited forever to finally get into the postseason, Delgado is hitting .500 in this tournament, and that was enough to electrify that Mets dugout. Now the count is 2-0 on David Wright.
Guys, the last time Carpenter started a game in the division series, in that first inning, he gave up 2 runs to the San Diego Padres and threw 35 pitches in that game. So he's had problems in the first inning on the road. And basically it was locating his fastball where he wanted it.
He misses with one there, and the count's 3-0 on David Wright.
So far, again, this is not Chris Carpenter's stuff on the mound for the Cardinals.
You can see Delgado in the dugout talking about his arm angle.
Leading with the elbow, right.
As he sits next to Beltran, who walked. And the Mets have won 11 straight when they've scored first. Time is called prior to the pitch. This does not count. The count is 3-1. Time was called by the first base umpire, as there's a beach ball out on the warning track in left center field, so Wright gets a reprieve.
Oh man, not only was time called, Jerry Lane was sprinting from his first base onto the infield grass. You very rarely see that from an umpire, but he wanted to make sure that everybody on the field knew he was calling timeout. Okay, maybe a slow jog.
I was going to say, I don't think you could put together a good 40 time with that. So the count is 3 balls and a strike on David Wright. 1 out, nobody on, 3 runs home, and now a walk. Second walk of this first inning for Chris Carpenter. And a visit from Dave Duncan.
Joe, you picked up on that with Carlos Delgado in the dugout, leading with his elbow. He was showing a teammate what Carpenter did on that fastball that he hit. When that happens, you're actually pushing the ball. You're not staying on top of the ball to get maximum movement, maximum velocity. And that's, I would imagine, something similar to Dave Duncan talking to Carpenter out there right now to try to stay on top.
And during this conversation, they have pulled the home plate umpire Jim Joyce out there, and Dave Duncan let him hear what he thinks of the strike zone here in the first inning as well. Would that Mets dugout be described as loose? They're down there rolling around, happy, giggly, and enjoying a 3-0 lead here in the first. Here's Sean Green. Ball 1.
Here's the swing of Carlos Delgado. Tremendous power into left center field. And then when he came in, he's talking about leading with the elbow, talking to his best friend on the Mets, Carlos Beltran.
Two and 0. Chris Carpenter, the last 2 years postseason included, has pitched 497 and 2/3 innings, and he's gone 40-13 for the Cardinals. A 15-game winner this season. Last year, the Cy Young Award, 21-5. And he does not have his good stuff with him here tonight in game 2. 3-0 now on Green. Here is the delivery by Carpenter on the home run pitch to Delgado.
That's exactly what Carlos was saying. When you lead with the elbow, you're under the fastball, and it's flat. A lot of things cause that. You open up too quickly, just like hitters do when they hit.
One on, one out, 3-1 pitch. Green to Belliard. The out at first, the throw to second, and safe as Wright gets around the tag of Eckstein.
Boy, that's terrific base running by David Wright. He didn't go out of the baseline to avoid the tag, but he gets down. Belliard does what he can, and the throw by Pujols is late at second.
No, Tim, you're exactly right. I mean, most young players don't react to a play like that, but David Wright is not your average normal player. He's a young star in this game, and he knows exactly what he's doing on the field.
Even though he did appear to be out at second base.
Well, I think Eckstein hit dirt. He didn't get any piece of Wright, and the second base umpire, Fielding Colbreth, was watching it closely. And even though the throw beat Wright, Eckstein missed him.
You're right. Went over the hand.
So Valentin gets an RBI chance, and the Mets can add to a 3-0 first inning lead. 0-1 the count. 1-1. The inning started on a double by Reyes, a bunt by Lo Duca, a walk to Beltran, and Delgado went deep to left center. A walk to right, a ground out by Green, and a 1-1 to Valentin. In the air to center, and that will do it for the Mets in the first. But up 1-0. They're up 3-0 in game 2 because of that. Delgado into left center field, 3-0 New York. go to the second inning of game 2. It's 3-0 New York. Jim Edmonds leads off and takes a ball from John Maine, and now Maine looks in at Jim Joyce, the home plate umpire. Jim has got a tight strike zone here at the start. 1-0 pitch is on the outside part, 1-1. Edmonds, Spezio, and Encarnacion. 4, 5, and 6 hitters against John Maine. 2-1. There's Spezio, who gets the start tonight in place of Scott Rowland. 2-2 on Edmonds. John Maine started a game against the Cardinals August 22nd. Won 5 innings, allowed 7 runs on 6 hits, gave up 2 home runs and 7 RBIs to Albert Pujols. But after that start, really settled in for the Mets. That's low, full count.
You know, and Maine doesn't change his approach now. He's up 3-0, but he's typically a guy who goes right after the hitters anyway. The only thing they want now is for him to just throw strikes and try to get outs.
Edmonds stays up there and the count stays full.
That's one of the more frustrating things for a manager to see and a pitching coach, is to see a pitcher walk the other team back into contention. If they hit their way, that's one thing. If you walk them, not good.
And a leadoff walk. Cardinals hope that's the start of something good here in the second inning. Maine made the Game 1 division series start against the Dodgers here at Shea. Lasted 4 1/3, allowed a run on 6 hits. That's when Willie Randolph showed everybody the way he was going to approach the division series. He had a quick hook and was very ready to go to his bullpen. Bullpen picked him up. Mets won that game and swept L.A. Here's Spezio. Strike 1. Spezio gets the start. Rowland's left shoulder is just not healthy enough in Tony La Russa's mind to warrant a start here tonight against Maine. Rowland has hit Traxel well. He said, I may start Rowland against Traxel, but tonight it's Spezio's turn. And he said it's a tough decision, but it's a decision that makes sense, and it's fair. It's fair to Scott because he's not totally healthy with his injured left shoulder, and it's fair to this team because we need somebody to give us a better chance at the plate swinging the bat. And Spezio is that choice. That is a fair ball and off the glove of Delgado. Edmonds will get to third base, and it's 1st and 3rd with nobody out as that ball fooled Carlos Delgado.
It did. I think he thought the ball was hit harder than that. It was hit off the end of the bat. And watch his reaction. Like he came up too quickly off the webbing of the glove. Delgado's a pretty good fielder. Not as good a fielder as he is a hitter. But that is a ball that could have been caught, should have been caught, and will go down as an error.
Last night behind Glavine, the Mets played exceptional defense. And tonight, behind the young right-hander, an early mistake by Delgado gives the Cardinals an opportunity to feel a lot better about their situation. Down 3-0 here in the second. Here's Encarnacion. And there's a strike over the outside half. A .313 hitter during the regular season with runners in scoring position. He has 1st and 3rd with nobody out. Lo Duca stabs it. 1 ball, 1 strike.
And really what Maine has to do here is try to get a ground ball, get 2 outs, and just keep the damage to a minimum with just 1 run being scored.
Runners at the corners. Encarnacion takes wide. In that Game 4 start, when Carpenter made the effort against San Diego, he and the Cardinals fell behind 2-0 in the top half of the first. The Cardinals came right back and tied it in the bottom half. That is a foul ball. Eventually won it with a big 6th inning. After Carpenter gave up the 3-run home run to Delgado, St. Louis has a chance to do some damage here. A walk and an error. Full count.
With 2 strikes, the good hitters adjust their thinking. They look outside. I remember Joe Torre, one of the great comments when he was a player, saying, never let a pitcher get you out of way with 2 strikes. Encarnacion can take the ball the other way. Does it very well when he's down in the count.
Drove home 79 runs during the regular season, has 2 RBIs in the postseason. You can say a guy's up in a key spot this early in a series. He is. That's a walk on a pitch just up and away, and the bases are loaded with Ronnie Belliard coming up.
Did it have part of the plate? It looked like it was a bit outside. I don't think it was high. I don't think Jim Joyce called it high, but it looked a bit outside.
Well, Jim's a fair umpire. He's going to give these pitchers the benefit of the doubt, but he's feeling like those balls are off the plate. So he's just calling them balls.
And now Belliard with the bases loaded. If the Cardinals had an MVP during the division series, and they don't name an MVP in that first round, it would be Ronnie Belliard. 6 hits against San Diego. 2 very good defensive plays at second base. What a spot here. Bases loaded and nobody out. Strike 1. And I think we're all still trying to figure out where the strike zone is tonight.
Well, normally you don't get that pitch for a strike. When a catcher has the mitt right down the middle and moves it about 9 inches to his left, you won't get that pitch called a strike.
1 ball, 1 strike.
But you will that one.
Well, not only that, but you have 2 pitchers that have a lot of movement on their pitches, and their balls move late in the strike zone.
Maine in a jam here in the second. That's not close. 2-1. Ronnie Belliard traded to the Cardinals from Cleveland at the deadline. Pops it up on the infield. Infield fly rule in effect. Reyes has it, 1 out. A big out picked up by John Maine, and now with Yadier Molina coming up, a guy who doesn't run well. Maine and the Mets can get out of it. They can get a ground ball off the bat of Molina. However, Yadier has hit well this postseason, much better than in the regular year when he hit only .216.
And what Yadi does very well is he hits the ball to the right side of the field. Right now, what he has to try to avoid is hitting the ball in the infield on the ground to stay away from that double play.
Molina is quite frequently a first pitch swinger. He is one of those guys that does not want to get to 2 strikes for fear of striking out, and a guy who, as I mentioned, hit only .216 during the regular season. He goes the other way and hits it into right. 1 run will score. Here comes Spezio. 2-run score on the hit by Molina. He's into second. It's a 3-2 game. Edmonds and Spezio come around, and with a pitcher Carpenter coming up, that is a huge hit out of the number 8 man in the Cardinal lineup.
Well, that was a huge hit right there, and what Yadi does very well is he stays inside of the ball. He sees the pitch away and stays inside and just drives it to right field, right over the first baseman's head.
Where you can see that head right locked in on that fastball away.
And most hitters in those situations are trying to pull the ball and drive it, and he just stays on top of the ball, stays on top of the plate, and just goes with the pitch.
56,000 are totally quiet as Carpenter fouls one out of play off to the right. Now it's second and third, only one out in a one-run game.
And really the key to this inning was the leadoff walk by Jim Edmonds, because the Mets come out and score 3 runs, and instead of coming out and getting that first hitter, he walked the leadoff guy.
It's funny how multi-run innings usually include a leadoff walk or a walk in there somewhere.
Maine looked like he tried to aim that pitch, bounced it in. Lo Duca smothered it. 1 ball, 1 strike.
Good play by Lo Duca. I'm a little surprised the Mets don't have action in their bullpen. I mean, this bullpen had 5 days to rest prior to last night's game.
That's wide to Carpenter, 2-1. Well, the one guy who would be in the category of a long reliever would certainly be Darren Oliver. But again, because of the rainout, you're playing 5 straight days, and Willie Randolph may be leery to go to the bullpen here in the second inning of game 2. Fouled back here, 2-2. Carpenter during the regular season had 9 hits and 71 at bats. Drove home 2. He has Encarnacion at third, Molina at second, 1 out, and a 2-2 count. Backing out of play, still 2-2. The Mets come into this game having won 8 straight going back to the regular season. During the stretch, they've had great starting pitching after relying heavily on their bullpen all season long. Tonight, Maine has sprung a leak here in the second. 2-2 pitch. Struck him out, 2 down. First strikeout for Maine, and it leaves the inning in the hands of David Eckstein. Carpenter definitely thought that ball was low, and it looked low. But as you said last night, pitchers don't usually argue with home plate umpires when they're about to head back out and hope for the benefit of the doubt while they're on the mound.
Real men don't eat quiche, and pitchers don't argue.
Second and third, 2 out. Eckstein out in front of that pitch, strike 1.
I think most of these pitchers at the plate, they're going to look back because the adrenaline level is a little bit higher in these postseason games. These guys know the magnitude of winning all these ball games here. Everyone's trying to get to that World Series.
Infield in on the corners. Eckstein hits it off the end of the bat. Valentin out to get it. And the Cardinals will have to settle for 2 runs on 1 hit, 1 key error. Times Square on a crisp night in New York. 3-2 Mets after an inning and a half. 3-2 the Mets on top as we go to the bottom of the second of game 2. MLB.com reminds us to remind you to watch the World Series on Fox. It's your duty, Judy. Starting next Saturday, October 21st. Bad plan on a night like this. It's chilly. Homer Simpson mask could keep some of the warmth in. Just don't need a brat with a lot of sauerkraut on it. 0-1 the count on Endy Chavez, the number 8 hitter. On deck is the pitcher Maine. And a breaking ball is hit fair down the right field line. Encarnacion digs it out, and Chavez has a leadoff double.
One of Willie Randolph's favorite players, Endy Chavez, on the breaking ball. Just fair down the right field line, about 6 inches. Or a foot. Not a homer, a double.
And And now with Maine at the plate, the Cardinals expect the bunt. Try and get Chavez over to third. Perfect bunt. High throw and out at first as Belliard went up to get it. Minor collision at the bag, and Chavez is at third with one away. Good bunt by John Maine.
And a fine play by Ronnie Belliard, because he's trying to find the ball in the bag with the same jump. Caught the ball down on the bag. Nice play.
Maine didn't leave himself a lot of room on the end of that bat to get the bunt down, and he could not have placed it any better than that. Now Chavez at third, infield in on the corners, Reyes at the plate. Strike one. Jose drove in 81 runs during the regular season out of the leadoff spot.
He's an aggressive hitter. He's not going to wait around. He gets a good pitch, he's going to try to want to drive it here.
Mets trying to get one of those runs right back. One ball, one strike. The problem for Carpenter so far has been the curveball. He has not been able to get it over for strikes. And when he's left it over the plate, it's been hanging, and that's what Reyes hit back in the first inning to lead off with a double, and what Chavez hit to lead off this second for a double. Base hit, 4-2.
There's something else about that curveball, too. When you continue to miss with it, you get behind in the count, and the pitches become more predictable. Reyes knew he was going to get a fastball, got it, and hammers it to right field. And obviously a threat to fly.
Yeah, you're exactly right, Tim. Hitters start looking for pitches in certain situations, and at this level, you can't afford to do that.
Jose Reyes was 2 for 16 in the postseason. Before tonight's game, he's doubled, singled, scored a run, driven in a run. Lo Duca strike one. Now you could get into the situation where Reyes is out there to try and steal a bag, and Yadier Molina, who is #1 among active catchers and throwing out base stealers in his career of just under 46%, will be on his toes, ready to try and erase Jose Reyes off the base paths. It's a good matchup, Reyes and Molina. Curveball misses low. 1 ball, 1 strike. Here's the matchup. Led the National League. Molina did this year with 41%. Lifetime 45.9%. And Reyes led the major leagues with his 64 steals. 2 out of 5 against Molina is Jose Reyes.
You know what makes Reyes so dangerous is Lo Duca is a great contact hitter. He is a hitter that's not afraid to hit with 2 strikes. So that gives Reyes a lot more chances to steal bases early in the count.
Lo Duca really an ideal #2 hitter. A different approach than what La Russa does when he wants power in the #2 spot in front of Pujols. Last night it was Wilson. Tonight it's Chris Duncan. Lo Duca, a different type hitter.
Paul Lo Duca serving, hitting behind Reyes, what Ted Sizemore did, hitting behind Lou Brock, the great Lou Brock, and what Jim Gilliam in the early 60s did, hitting behind Maury Wills. No fear of 2 strikes.
Reyes not running. That one down and in, 2-1.
Now you may see the hit and run. So many things that Willie Randolph could do with Paul Lo Duca and the Reyes tandem.
And Lo Duca has great back control. He loves hitting the ball to the opposite side, which is the right side of the field.
There throws. Nice play by Spezia over at third. A rocket. Pujols knocks it down, picks it up for the out. 2 away. That was a very good play by Spezia. That ball was crunched over to third.
Yeah, you had 2 short hops on the infield corners. One to Spezia. Ball hit very well as the hit and run was on. Good play to knock it down, but a low throw dropped by Pujols. And Albert recovers in time.
Now it's Beltran, runner at second, Reyes, 2 out. And a strike over the outside corner. Carlos walked and scored his first time when Delgado went deep for a 3-run shot. Cardinals got 2 in the second. The Mets have come back with 1. Chance for another. 0-2.
Looked like the first straight change thrown by Carpenter. Beltran way out in front.
Ball 1. Well, the Mets won behind their ace Tom Glavine last night. Tonight the Cardinals turning to Chris Carpenter before this series goes to St. Louis for Game 3 tomorrow night. And Carpenter, reigning Cy Young Award winner, gives up 3 in the first, 1 here in the second. And the Mets have a chance for more. The count stays 1-2 on Beltran. 8 LCS games against Cardinal pitching, an average of just under 400, 5 home runs in the 8 games, and 7 RBIs. 4 of those home runs while with Houston in 2004. Just slapping at it to stay alive.
And really what the Mets are doing right here is they're getting Chris Carpenter's pitch count up. He's already got over 40 pitches in 2 innings. That's a lot of pitches for a starter.
Through 26 in the first inning. 15 so far here in the second. Maine through 30 in the top half of this inning. 1-2 pitch. Inning over. Carpenter gets his first strikeout. The Mets get one of those 2 runs back. A double by Chavez leading off, and the RBI by Reyes. Cardinals coming up. 2, 3, and 4 hitters down by 2. First pitch swinging is Chris Duncan, and he fouls it back for strike 1. It'll be Duncan, Pujols, and Edmonds, 2, 3, and 4 hitters for the Cardinals, down by 2. Duncan grounded out his first time and takes ball 1. Chris Duncan really gave the Cardinals a lift when he came up for good from AAA. Not just his 22 home runs, but some life in the lineup, and they would not be in the postseason without his contribution. Set up at 1-2 is Duncan. 1 out. John Maine had a rough day against Albert Pujols when these two met back in August.
He beat me up pretty good. Yeah, I learned something. I thought I made good pitches to him last time, but, you know, 7 RBIs later, 2 home runs later, it didn't, I guess it wasn't as good as I thought it was, so it could have been better.
Mets won that game 8-7 on August 22nd.
1 ball, 1 strike. They won it on a Carlos Beltran home run in the 9th inning off Isringhausen. Over but low, pretty good pitch, ball 2. Pujols looking for his first hit of this series, up on the count 3-1 with Edmonds next. A career slugging percentage of .660 against the Mets. With 11 career postseason home runs, he pops it up. Foul territory, and Lo Duca will watch it go into the seats. Full count. First 2 games of this postseason, he carried the Cardinals against the Padres. The last 3, he's 0 for 10.
Now, that's simply your star player trying to do too much. And Albert knows that some of these other guys are going to be able to pick him up, but he's been the guy here for so long, and he sees all the other injuries.
In foul territory and out of play. 1 row back. Well, you could see it last night, guys, with not just the frustration lining out twice, but getting doubled off first, wandering too far, and a ball hit the center, trying to push it, trying to do too much, trying to carry this team. Then the comments about Glavine, which upset the crowd here, and why they're on his case saying that he wasn't good at all, which is silly. He pitched 7 innings, allowed no runs on 4 hits. But he is pressing. There's no doubt he's human. Trying to do it all himself. And there are times this season where he did do it all himself.
Well, both of the last 2 pitches have been balls out of the strike zone. Also indicative of pressing.
That wasn't even close to give Pujols a chance to go after it. It's a 1-out walk. And the 3rd walk handed out by John Maine tonight. Here comes Edmonds. Jim walked and scored. He started the 2-run rally in the 2nd with a leadoff walk. The only hit of the inning was a bases-loaded 2-run double by Yadier Molina, the number 8 hitter. Strike 1 from Maine. Edmonds went around 0-2.
That was a fastball swing and a slider. Jim looking fastball, got the slider and couldn't hold up.
Ball 1 from Maine. John was picked up from the Orioles. Came here with Jorge Julio in a trade for Anna Benson. They just threw in Chris to make the deal complete. Runner at first, 1 out, and that's down and in 2-2. Chris Benson, the right-hander, going to Baltimore. There was some talk during the year when the Mets were injured in their rotation that they might go back after Chris Benson. But they did not, and therefore, because of the injuries to El Duque and Pedro Martinez, they have young John Maine, 25 years old, from Fredericksburg, Virginia, pitching game 1 of the division series and game 2 of the NLCS. 2-2 pitch. Edmonds hits it well into center field. Beltran back. At the wall, this game is tied. Jim Edmonds goes deep with his 54th career postseason hit. It's a 4-4 game in the 3rd inning.
Talked about it last inning about Willie Randolph's decision so far not to get the bullpen up. I mean, the Cardinals, it's understandable for them to stick with their #1 guy, Chris Carpenter. But if you take your game plan, and that's usually relying on football, and you talk about going through the lineup twice with John Maine, there's still no activity in the Met bullpen, and I am very surprised.
Well, if the Mets think they've got a great player in postseason in Beltran, the Cardinals definitely have one in Jim Edmonds. He always seems to step up to the occasion and come up big for these guys in postseason play.
Saw his 12th career postseason home run. #1 all time for the Cardinals on their list with his 54 career postseason hits. He scored twice. He drives home 2 with the home run and ties this game at 4. Now Spezio, 1 out, nobody on, the count in his favor, 2-1. And now 3-1. I would imagine that Willie Randolph will come over to your side, Tim, here shortly. If Maine can't find the strike zone and keeps falling behind these hitters. 3-1 pitch is fouled back.
I mean, the surprise for me is that the Mets clinched it against the Dodgers last Saturday. The bullpens had 5 days to rest. They threw 2 innings last night. I mean, how many times in a game during a series are you going to have the lead? To me, you have to capitalize on the lead.
Now a 1-out walk to Spezio. 4th walk already handed out by Maine. The other side of it, just to play devil's advocate,
sure,
would be this, and now they're on the phone to the bullpen. But you've got Maine now, you've got Traxel, a veteran, going in Game 3 tomorrow night. Then you get into uncharted waters when you have Oliver Perez, the left-hander, going in Game 4, and you have to come back with Tom Glavine on short rest in Game 5 on Monday. And I would imagine Willie Randolph's answer would be, well, we're going to try and get as much as we can out of Maine tonight.
Right.
As Roberto Hernandez gets loose, the right-hander, because we don't know what's to come the next 3 days while this series goes to St. Louis.
And I would counter, Willie, with you have a lead tonight. And that's the point. I mean, how many of these games over the next 3 games in St. Louis are you going to have a lead?
Well, on behalf of Willie, I'm stepping aside. I'm done. I'm done playing Willie Randolph.
Well, we'll talk to him tomorrow.
It's frustrating as a position player because you're out on the field and here you go. You get a lead. You give up 2 runs. Then you get another lead. You get some more runs back, and then he's just having trouble finding his release point and locating his pitches. He's missing by not a little bit. He's missing way off the plate, and it's usually to the left-handed side of the batter's box.
Encarnacion now 1 on, 1 out, and he flies one into center field for Beltran. 2 out. Ronnie Belliard will be the hitter.
I tell you, as a position player, you'd much rather see a guy hit a home run than having walks get on base, because you want guys to hit the ball, put it in play. Let your defense do the work. This Mets defense is one of the best in the league.
Proved that here last night behind Glavine, who walked 2. Maine in 2 2/3 has walked 4. There's a costly error behind him on a ball hit by Spezio. The error by Delgado at first. Now the 1-0 pitch to Belliard missing. 2-0.
And you can't continue to give Chris Carpenter chances out there, because sooner or later he's going to turn it around. There's a reason this guy's been the Cy Young Award winner, and he's a top candidate again this year.
That's it at the knees, 2-1. Pitch count is at 67 for John Maine, trying to get through the 3rd inning. Belliard pops it into right. Green is back. The inning is over. But in the inning, a walk to Pujols, and Jim Edmonds into left center field has tied this game at 4. Bottom of the 3rd inning now, 8-2. Part of the order here for the Mets: Delgado right and Sean Green against Chris Carpenter. Maine sitting next to his pitching coach, Rick Peterson. And Carpenter back to work, trying to find his release point, trying to find his good stuff. A 4-4 game now, and Delgado has a home run and is hitting .500 in this postseason for the Mets. Cardinals had him played perfectly. Eckstein up the middle makes the play. 1 down. give you our Verizon Wireless game summary. We don't just show stats, we show pictures and video. Delgado goes deep, a 3-run shot in the first. The Cardinals have tied it thanks to a 2-run home run by Edmonds in the top of this third. And neither pitcher's been too hot so far. Wright walked his first time and was left stranded when Green and Valentine made outs. Strike one from Carpenter. Mets have beaten the Cardinals head-to-head 6 of the last 8 times they've played them. Cardinals did not beat New York here at Shea this season. The 0-1 to Wright. He checked a swing. 1 ball, 1 strike.
You hear that word patience throughout the major leagues as far as players are concerned. But think about the patience of the front office of the Cardinals with Chris Carpenter. They signed him in 2002, and they knew he wasn't going to pitch in 2003. So they signed him in 2002 to pitch in 2004. So they had over a year to wait to see how well his Tommy John surgery was going to be. The rehab. And now he's one of the best pitchers in baseball.
And he's one of the few examples in the game today, as you look at his numbers with Toronto and what he's done, 55 and 18 in a Cardinal uniform, that appreciated that vote of confidence the Cardinals had in him, let him rehab under their watch. And he and his agent Bob Lamont have been very fair with the deals they've made with the Cardinals since. That is just high, and a 1-out walk to David Wright. That's 3 walks now from Carpenter. One on, 1 out for Sean Green. That loyalty stuff with today's players, Luis, it's a lost thing.
I'm not going to go there on that one.
Gonzo.
You can step aside. That's fine. Green, a former teammate of Luis Gonzalez in Arizona. Rescued here by the Mets during the month of August. Up there ready to rip and missed it. Out of the hand of Carpenter. Strike 1. Now Carpenter up to 50 pitches. Can add another name to that list. Ken Rosenthal. We'll hear from him shortly. Runner at first, 1 away, and a strike on a tailing fastball from Carpenter. 0-2. 96. That's as hard as he's thrown all night.
He definitely humped up on that one, and a lot of movement on that pitch. It starts on the inner half to left-handed hitter and runs right back over the middle of the plate. Left-handers
have a tendency to give up on that pitch, thinking it's going to be inside. And that late movement carries it in the strike zone.
Green fights it off. Sean didn't do a whole lot after the Mets picked him up during the regular season. Hit 4 home runs in 34 games, but he had a good series against the Dodgers and a big night in their clincher last Saturday night. Another 0-2 pitch. Not close.
Sean Green is not a guy who vents his animosity willingly. But we talked to him last Saturday before the Dodger game, and he was pretty open about how he wanted to turn it up against the Dodgers. Traded to the Dodgers from Toronto before he went to Arizona. Had a great game last Saturday night.
1-2 pitch. Green holds up. 2-2.
And I think that's only natural for most players when they're traded from the team that they've been with. They want to show what their value was to their team or what they're missing. It's every professional athlete in sports wants to always come back and play against their former team.
A little extra against them.
The number of teams you've been with, Louis, you didn't have to hit 600 to get back at everybody.
And I'm going to try every time out, too.
1 on, 1 out, 2 balls, 2 strikes. Green out in front of it, fouls it.
That's what keeps you coming back.
Ticked off at the Astros and the Tigers and the Cubs and the Diamondbacks now. missing anybody?
I'm going to play till I'm 50, I guess, now to get back at all these teams.
2-2 the count on Green after a quick 0-2 count. Good at bat by Green. He's worked the count full, and we'll see what the Mets want to do with right over at first, the 3-2 count.
I would think he'll be running right here. You could see Tony La Russa saying to play behind right a little bit. That's an interesting situation with only one out. David Wright, the runner, you're not sure where that first baseman is. He'll probably be running here.
He takes off, and Green fouls it. What a big swing on that 3-2 pitch.
Well, I think he wants him to play close behind him because Shawn Green, being a left-handed power hitter, usually if he pulls a ball, he's going to hit it hard towards that right side of the infield. And he wants Pujols to be in position to be able to make that play.
We talk about Maine and his night so far through 3 innings. Carpenter hasn't been much better. Allowing 4 runs on 4 hits. The Cardinals 4 runs on 2 hits. Runner goes, 3-2 pitch, another foul. Already it's been a 9-pitch at bat for Green, who fell behind in a hurry, 0-2. Goes again. It's ball 4. 2 on with 1 out. Back-to-back walks by Carpenter here in the 3rd inning after his teammates just tied the game.
Well, that was a great at bat by Shawn Green in the hole, 0-2, and fought his way on with a walk, and now you have the left-handed hitting Valentin up.
So far this postseason, 0 for 13 is Jose Valentin. He started out the year, had a good April, a great May, hit .320. His average went down every month and hit only .215 in September. He was hitless in the postseason. 2 on, 1 out. Should be a double play ball. Is it hit hard enough? Eckstein gets it, throws it. The inning is over. Valentin continues to struggle. This game stays tied as we go to the 4th. The League Championship Series on Fox is sponsored by HP. The computer is personal again. By Holiday Inn, the official hotel of Major League Baseball. And by Chevy, baseball's #1 fan, Chevy, and American Revolution. We go to the 4th inning here of Game 2. It is a 4-4 score, and Yadier Molina, who had the key hit in the 2-run second for St. Louis, takes a ball. It's Molina, Carpenter, and Eckstein for the Cardinals, 8-9-1 against Maine, who just threw his 70th pitch of the night. 1-1. That's low. 2 balls and a strike. It has really been a turnaround in this postseason swinging the bat for Yadier Molina. Back toward us, and the count evens at 2-2.
That's how you counter. If you're a pitcher, you counter a guy going the other way by pitching him tight. 2-1 pitch. Molina, you could see, taking that same approach that Gonzo talked about his last at bat. That pitch tied him up.
In the air to center field for Beltran. And the Cardinal leadoff hitter Molina is gone. This week, Fox NFL Sunday returns when Donovan McNabb and the Eagles travel to New Orleans to take on the resurgent Saints or other regional action. It all begins this week with America's #1 pregame show at noon Eastern, 9 a.m. Pacific, right here on Fox. Speechless. 1 out, nobody on, and a strike over the outside corner to Chris Carpenter.
How do you buy a hat like that?
How and why? Honey, have you seen the hot dog hat? It's the playoffs.
His only excuse would be that was a gift, I hope.
I would hope. 1 ball, 1 strike. 1 out, nobody on, and Carpenter up on the count, 2-1. Eckstein next. A shattered bat and a foul backing out of play. Zayo Kendo is over to retrieve it, and Carpenter is almost literally left with a toothpick in his hands.
One of the few times tonight, and Gonzo, you picked up on it a couple of innings ago, one of the few times that Maine has come inside to right-handers. He did it to Molina, did it to Carpenter. But that's where he's been wild. That slot, low and away to right-handed batters.
He really has, and what he does is he's trying to overthrow, and when he does that, he holds on to the ball a little bit longer, and his release point is off.
Carpenter gets under it and pops it up. Andy Chavez takes over. 2 out.
This gives you an idea, that last inning, about exactly where Maine has been wild, low and away to right-handed batters and even left-handers. That was prior to the Edmonds home run.
That's all within the 3rd inning. He's trying to get it back together. He's retired 4 straight and is looking for his first 1, 2, 3 innings since the 1st. Eckstein now 0 for 2. He's flying to center and popped out the 2nd. Ball 1. These two teams will travel to St. Louis after tonight's game. Cardinal charter and the Mets charter will take off. The starting pitchers have been sent ahead. That is Hyde, 2-0. Because these two teams figure to get into St. Louis awfully late. Probably won't get to sleep until about 4 o'clock tomorrow morning. And then play tomorrow night. 3-0 on Eckstein. Big power threat in Chris Duncan on deck. And a 4-pitch walk to Eckstein.
You know, and despite those guys getting in at 2 or 3 in the morning, it doesn't matter. These guys have been playing. A lot of these guys have never been to postseason play, and some of these guys, this is their first time. So they are more than excited, and they could care less what time they get in. They'll be looking forward to that first game in St. Louis.
Roberto Hernandez gets loose again. And here's another visit from Rick Peterson with Chris Duncan at the plate. I maintain, Tim, and sorry to cut you off, I maintain that a guy like Chris Duncan, because he has come up through the Cardinal organization and now he's at the big league level, has had to do more to prove that he belongs because he's Dave Duncan's kid. He came up at the end of last year. He got the call up. Well, certainly he's Dave Duncan's kid. Of course they're going to call him up. He's been nothing but a good player and a leader in the minor leagues. And he's come up, and as a rookie is number 2 in the franchise list for home runs by a rookie with his 22. And he just started to get accepted by the fans in St. Louis down the stretch for the kind of year he had.
I think that's a good point and a legitimate point.
See what Ryan Howard did last season and what Duncan did this year. Runner goes, throw down is into center field. And Eckstein will end up at third base. That's the go-ahead run with 2 out. It'll be a stolen base, E2 on Paul Lo Duca.
Eckstein with a tremendous jump. Lo Duca with a good pitch to handle, but it short hops by Jose Reyes. Look at the jump Eckstein had. So Eckstein on third with 2 outs. But your point is so well taken, because I think I agree with that. I think it's much more difficult for the sons of former major league players to make it in the big leagues, but particularly when he's in the same organization as his dad.
Now in the same dugout. The 0-1. 1 ball, 1 strike.
Well, it's a lot easier when you're a guy like Moises Alou, with your dad being the manager of the San Francisco Giants. Mo's been playing for 15, 16 years. He's already an established major leaguer. But when you're a young player like Chris Duncan, it makes it a little bit more difficult because you want to prove to everybody that you belong here. And he's done a fantastic job hitting 22 home runs.
Crowd gets behind Maine, who's trying to keep the go-ahead run from scoring. Eckstein at third, 2 out. 1-2 pitch.
And not only that, Duncan is out of position. He's not an outfielder. He's been thrown out to play left field, and he's done a fantastic job for him so far.
Trying to get his bat in the lineup. 2-2 pitch. Good pitch by Maine. Third strikeout by the right-hander. And this game stays 4-4. Chavez, Maine, Reyes coming up for the Mets. Bottom of the fourth. Chris Carpenter back to the hill as this game gets to the bottom of the fourth inning. John Maine, it looks like his night is over. Michael Tucker is in the on-deck circle. Andy Chavez leading it off. And hits a one-hop bullet out to second. Belliard makes the play, 1 out. Tony La Russa, nice enough to join us again during the break. Tony, is it fair to say that you guys in the dugout, you and Dave Duncan, are still waiting to see Chris Carpenter settle into this start tonight?
Well, it may be one of those days, Joe, where it's going to be a struggle the whole time he's out there. I mean, he's really struggling, except inside and mentally. I mean, he's competing, but it's tough for him.
Let's talk about the other side. You've got a pitcher facing you that is really struggling with his control. How do you balance trying to stay aggressive, but also trying to be patient at the plate?
Well, it's tough, but I think, that's part of big league hitting. You've got to be really aggressive with a good strike. Now, I don't know if that we may have seen the last of them, but you just got to try to be ready, because if he throws the ball down the middle, you just can't anticipate he's going to walk you.
How much leash do you give a guy like Chris Carpenter, and how worried are you when it's Carpenter about a pitch count?
Well, I know it's a stake today, and as long as I think he's got a chance, I mean, he's always got deep reserves of stamina and guts, but if it looks like he's just out of gas, and we got a bullpen ready to go, but, we're pushing farther than we push most.
Thank you, Tony. Tony La Russa, while Carpenter has hit 63 with his pitch count. 1-1 pitch. Changes up on Tucker. Fooled him. Strike 2. One at bat in this postseason. Regular season hit 196 in a long time. Pinch hitter who has bounced around the big leagues. Reyes on deck, and Maine is left to talk about his start. And now it's Corey Bradford, or Chad Bradford, getting ready for the Mets out in their bullpen. There's Maine and his numbers. 3 of the 4 runs were earned. Tucker backs out, now gets back in. 2 balls, 2 strikes. Is hit on the thigh. Thigh or knee, it looked like thigh, and with 1 out, Tucker will hobble down to first. And Tony La Russa plays bat boy.
That was a slider as Carpenter tried to come inside. That's where that pitch is designed to stay. Hits him on the back thigh. That is unusual for a right-handed pitcher to hit a left-handed hitter on the back thigh with any pitch. Well, Michael Tucker, a pinch hitter, is hit by the slider.
Now Jose Reyes has had a nice night. 2 for 2, a double, a run scored, and an RBI single. That's up the middle. Belliard flips right out of the glove. And with the speed of Reyes, the Cardinals can't turn 2. Rather risky play by Belliard, but he got away with it, and there's 2 out.
Risky, but well done. Michael Tucker barreling into David Eckstein. Watch this slide. Because the ball was not hit hard. That gave Tucker a chance to get down on top of Eckstein, and David eluding the sliding Tucker.
Now Lo Duca, and again a running situation for the Mets. Reyes on at first, and Carpenter is frozen.
Well, that's the best deterrent for base runners, is to hold the ball. Hold, hold, hold. There's a certain rhythm with base runners. They like to get on, and they've tapped. Reyes has been on base twice, so he's timed Carpenter. And if you hold the ball a little longer, it may thwart his rhythm.
Lo Duca reaching for it, grounds to short, and the long throw by Eckstein ends the inning. We go to the fifth here in game 2. Good game. 4-4 is the score. Cardinals have the heart of the order coming up. Back after this from your local Fox station. Chad Bradford takes over for the Mets. 32-year-old right-hander. That was almost underhanded with his delivery. 70 games this season, 2.90, and part of this very good Mets bullpen, which during the regular season had the best ERA in the National League at 3.25. Albert Pujols first up. Jim Edmonds and Scott Spezio will follow. And what I think you could call a must-win situation for St. Louis. They're already down 1-0. They push Carpenter up to this game 2 start. He has struggled through 4 innings. However, Cardinals have come back and tied this game at 4. Trying to gain a split before the series goes to St. Louis tomorrow.
And how long can the Mets anticipate holding Albert Pujols down?
Takes a strike from Bradford. He walked and scored his last time. 0 for 4 in this series. 5 out of 19 this postseason.
Coming inside.
0-2.
No, and he's tough on hitters because he has that sidearm delivery, and he hides the ball so well from the hitters, and all of a sudden it just jumps out at you. He's more effective when he keeps the ball down. If he gets the ball up, that's when sidearmers like that get hurt.
Pujols just gets a piece.
That hand coming perilously close to the ground when he releases it. You talk about release point. We've talked about it several times. Nobody on either team has a release point like Chad Bradford.
That floats up and away, ball 1. Willie Randolph pulling his starter John Maine before Maine has to go through the 3, 4, and 5 hitters for the 3rd time. 4-4 game, and that's not close. 2-2. Asking for time, sticking his left hand out toward the pitcher. Asking for time, and the home plate umpire Jim Joyce granted it before a 2-2 pitch. 2 bounces to Reyes. 1 away.
St. Louis fans not used to seeing Albert Pujols struggle like he has struggled over the last 4 games.
Edmonds now, he hit a 2-run home run back in the 3rd inning to tie the game at 4, and he takes inside or low for ball 1.
So far in these 2 games, Albert Pujols has been up to the plate with a man on base once. That was in last night's game.
Last night, the number 2 hitter in front of him was Preston Wilson. He got a hit in the 6th inning, was 1 for 4. That was the time when Pujols had a man on in front of him. Tonight, Duncan is 0 for 3 with a pair of strikeouts. It's Edmonds now, Spezio on deck, and the count 1-1. Two and one. For as tough as it is for a right-handed batter to face Bradford, left-handers seem to get a pretty good look at this submarine-style right-hander. Edmonds hitting left-handed. Spezio, a switch hitter, will bat lefty next. Good pitch in on the hands, 2-2.
That's an unusual pitch from a guy like Bradford, because most of the time for left-handed hitters he stays away. Coming inside to Edmonds.
Same spot, and Edmonds got a piece to foul it off.
Yeah, and Bradford's not a guy that throws in the 90s, high 80s, low 90s. He's a guy who throws 79 to 85 miles an hour, which is average speed on a fastball. But what he does so well is he drops down and he gives the hitters a different look.
Full count. Edmonds with one out, nobody on here in the 5th inning of a 4-4 game. In the air to center, Beltran back. Ball carried a long way. Almost all the way to the wall, 2 out. There's Scott Rowland. His replacement Spezio is walking in for his at-bat. Our WebMD injury report. Shoulder fatigue. To get an inside look at injuries affecting your team, go to WebMD.com and search sports injury. Let's go down to Ken Rosenthal. Ken.
Guys, I spoke with Scott Rowland before the game, and he said he learned he wasn't playing when he walked into the clubhouse and saw his name wasn't in the lineup. He was upset with Tony La Russa for not personally informing him of the decision. He was more upset that he wasn't playing, and he couldn't be a good teammate. When you've got a great player like Rowland, an immensely proud player, a player who has persevered with 5 screws in his surgically repaired left shoulder, these decisions are going to be delicate, and as La Russa put it, not very enjoyable. Guys?
All right, Ken, thanks. 1 ball, no strikes on Spezio with 2 out, nobody on. Slicing into left for Chavez. We'll talk more about Rowland as we go on. We are moving to the bottom of the 5th. 3, 4, and 5 hitters coming up for the Mets. Beltran will lead it off. Game 2 is tied at 4. The League Championship Series on Fox is sponsored by Chevy, baseball's #1 fan. Chevy, an American revolution. This game continues into the bottom of the 5th inning, and the big bats are due to hit for the Mets. That's Beltran, Delgado, and right. And Carpenter trying to settle down into this start. Starts Beltran with a curveball. He has not thrown that curve for many strikes tonight. A couple that he's left have been sitting up and have been hit hard. That one up and away. 1 ball, 1 strike. The 1-1 pitch. In for strike 2.
You know, Carpenter's trying to find his release point on that curveball, but what he has done lately is he's been throwing a lot more changeups to try to keep these hitters off balance.
To the right side, Pujols. That ball stays fair, and Carpenter wins the race to the bag, 1 out. Delgado will bat with the bases empty. Carlos has knocked in 3. With a home run, made the error at first base, which allowed the Cardinals to get on the board back in the 2nd.
Sometimes in a 9-inning game, you look back on the importance of a particular inning. And if Chris Carpenter can get through this inning, 3 very tough hitters in Beltran, Delgado and Wright, and the Cardinals win the game, they could point to this inning as the pivotal inning.
Delgado takes ball 1.
And that is so important from a catcher standpoint in working the lineup. Not enough is really talked about from that standpoint, but working a lineup is very, very important in the control of the game and the cadence of the game. And that's what Carpenter's trying to do right now.
Count even at a ball and a strike. Two and one. Delgado takes strike 2. He didn't like the call, and Jim Joyce, the home plate umpire, giving this one to Carpenter. And a good pitch, 95 miles an hour on the black. Outside part of the plate, knee high. Breaking ball bounces in, and the count's full.
The thing that I like about Carpenter is he's a competitor. He may not have his best stuff, but he's going to give you everything he's got and try to get through. His teams come right back, able to tie the game for him, and he's still out there fighting and battling to try to find his stuff.
3 balls, 2 strikes with 1 out. Delgado. Big swing and just a foul tip.
That was that changeup you were talking about, Luis. Different look to Delgado. Out in front was Carlos. They got a piece of it. It has been a struggle tonight for Carpenter.
In the air to left field. Duncan is back at the track. Home run, Delgado, his second of the night. 5-4 Mets. In this pivotal inning, Carlos Delgado sends his second home run of the night out the opposite way. Belliard knocks it down. Safe at first is David Wright.
To realize how strong you are to do that, because there's no body into the swing. This is strictly arms. Off the plate away. Arms. Hands. Delgado. And the Mets retake the lead. Awesome strength.
Tony La Russa came out to argue briefly with Jerry Lane, the first base umpire, after that safe call at first. Delgado has knocked home 4 of the 5 Mets runs. Here's the play by Belliard. Wright was safe. Wright, a guy who can pound the ball, 26 home runs, 116 RBIs, and stole 20 bases. He can run. Here's Sean Green. He's walked twice. Ball hit by Wright. That's ruled an error on Ronnie Belliard. ball, one strike.
Joe, you talked about it earlier. Carlos Delgado had waited 1,711 games before the postseason. I'll tell you, that expression, on a mission, is used so much in sports. But if that expression could ever be applied to anybody, it's Delgado. He has been a machine this postseason so far.
Two balls and a strike, and back to the home run hit. It looked like off the end of the bat and just flicked out to left field. And it just kept carrying. Delgado has been the man tonight for the Mets.
I think what he did was he just put a good swing on it. Carpenter's ball ran away at 97 miles an hour. You don't have to swing hard. You just got to square it up, and that's exactly what Carlos Delgado did.
2-1 to Green. 3-1.
But the point I was trying to make, Luis, was that even if left-handed hitters square up a ball like that, it's a track power shot.
It really is, especially in this ballpark.
Yeah.
358 where he hit that ball. This is a big ballpark.
To Green is ripped into right. David Wright will think about going to third, but hold. He couldn't get a jump on that ball hit. It almost hit him on its way out to right field. And it's first and second, one out, and Carpenter's long night, and his struggles continue.
Now watch David Wright, not wanting, of course, to be hit by the ball. Pujols trying to dive for it. Almost got tangled with Wright. So because of that, Wright jumping back and could only go to second base.
Dave Duncan is out to talk, and action begins for St. Louis out in their bullpen. With their Cy Young Award winner on the mound, Brad Thompson, getting loose. Tuesday, October 31st, standoff returns, all new at its new time, 8 Eastern, 7 Central. Followed by the Emmy Award-winning smash hit House at its new time, 9 Eastern, 8 Central. That's Tuesday, October 31st. Your discretion is advised. 2 on, 1 out. Jose Valentin 0 for 2 and 0 for 14 in the postseason at the plate. Ball 1 from Carpenter. Good speed on the bases for the Mets with Wright and Green. 2-0.
Carpenter right here has got to be thinking, if I can get a ground ball right here somewhere up the middle, I can get out of this inning without any more damage being done.
And it's tougher to do to get that ground ball when you're behind in the count like he is right now.
Pops it into left. Duncan is there, makes the catch. 2 on, 2 out. The Cardinals turn to Chris Carpenter tonight. He's making his 6th career postseason start. 4-0 is his record, and his ERA is 2.1. Tonight, 5 runs, 6 hits. He's walked 4 and allowed 2 home runs to Delgado. Now it's 2 on, 2 out for Andy Chavez. A fan favorite here is Shea. And a 300 hitter during the regular season. Roberto Hernandez is warming up now for the 3rd time as Carpenter delivers ball 1.
You know, it's a small point, but nobody's on the on-deck circle. Somebody should be out there to tell the runner what to do in case Chavez gets a hit.
1 ball, 1 strike, and that person now is Julio Franco. Chavez has doubled and scored and grounded out. Has been a hot hitter. 327 since the 26th of August, including the postseason. 1-1 pitch. Tailing delivery. Good pitch. 1-2.
Watch Chavez jump back as though that ball were inside, but that's indicative of that late movement on the fastball from Carpenter.
1-2 pitch. Chavez is jammed, and Spezio goes to the bag to end the threat. Here in New York, Delgado has been the man tonight. 2 home runs, 1 in the inning, and a 5-4 Mets lead after 5. The League Championship Series on Fox is sponsored by Budweiser Select, brewed longer for a bold taste that finishes clean. Expect everything. It is game 2 of the NLCS. The Mets are back on top after Delgado's second home run of the night, and Bradford is back to the hill, had a perfect 5th. Pedro Martinez, a spectator like you in this series. A rotator cuff surgery, and Encarnacion takes a breaking ball from Bradford for strike 1. Juan 0 for 1 with a walk. 1 ball, 1 strike. Now Josh Hancock getting loose for St. Louis as Thompson sits down. Cardinal pitcher Carpenter is due up 4th in this 6th inning. The lefty Pedro Feliciano getting loose for the Mets.
Tell you where the Cardinals have been deficient in this first game and a half. They've played 14 innings against the Mets. They've had their leadoff runner on 1 time. 1 of those 14 innings.
2-2. And that caught a piece of Jim Joyce, the home plate umpire.
Encarnacion's a guy who doesn't get cheated when he takes a swing up there.
Delgado is trying to earn brownie points with the home plate umpire to give him some time to recover from that foul tip, so he comes over and picks up the rosin bag for absolutely no reason. And now goes back to his position. 2 balls, 2 strikes. Full count.
Delgado's a guy who really enjoys playing the game. He's always having fun out there, joking around with all his teammates, and he's waited a long time to do what he's doing right now in postseason.
He is making the most of it. That is strike 3 called over the outside corner. Encarnacion goes down looking. Speaking of looking, time for the Holiday Inn look again. Brought to you by Holiday Inn, the official hotel of Major League Baseball. Delgado in the first, a 3-run shot. And then the bottom of the 5th, the opposite way, down toward the end of the bat. And a 5-4 Mets lead. Ball 1 high to Belliard. Ronnie is 0 for 2. Bounced around a little bit in his big league career, and he has not had any success playing here individually at Shea Stadium or with whatever team he's been on. Every club he's played on, when they've visited Shea Stadium, they've compiled a 4-21 record, and Belliard has hit 191 in this park. Last night lined out and then was robbed of a hit on a diving catch by Chavez in left. 1-2. Pitch, 2-2. his right. 2 down. And Bradford has faced 5, retired 5, trying to get through 2 big innings here. Now protecting a 1-run lead. Molina will be the hitter. Yadier with a 2-run double in the second. In the 4th inning, he fly to center. Strike 1. Molina trying to wait on that pitch. 68 miles per hour. It's 0-2.
And there's no way when you release a ball from that release point that the ball can go down. It's got to go up.
And really what Bradford's been doing so well is he's throwing in and away. So it's keeping the hitters off balance. They're not able to get good swings off of him.
Molina, base hit. His second of the night. And now the decision from Tony La Russa. He will lift Chris Carpenter for a pinch hitter.
First Cardinal hit off Bradford. He had retired 5 in a row. So Molina continues his hitting, and he is, with the exception of Jim Edmonds in this game, the only other Cardinal to get a hit. Molina has 2, Edmonds has 1.
And really, he set that sequence up well. Molina actually broke his bat on that swing. He got in on him, but Molina just actually got enough of it to get it past right.
Rodriguez is the call to come out and pinch hit. Needed to run down the steps and find whatever it was, his helmet or his bat. And now a guy who is 0 for 2 this postseason will step to the plate. A New Yorker, former Yankee farmhand, and with the Cardinals coming off the bench and batting for Carpenter, and he will not face Bradford. Instead, he will deal with Pedro Feliciano. Lefty on lefty is the matchup right now here in the top of the 6th. This game gets into the bottom of the 6th inning, and Anderson Hernandez, who was added to the NLCS roster, will take on Josh Hancock, the right-hander, who was busy this year for the Cardinals. Released by the Reds in spring training because they thought he came to camp too heavy. The Cardinals picked him up, and he had a good year out of the bullpen. Anderson Hernandez, the guy at the plate, started the season on the 25-man roster. Had a bulging disc in his back, and Jose Valentin took over second base and never gave up the job again. Guillermo Mota loosens up for the Mets in their pen now. Off the end of the bat, and it will stay foul. Strike 1. It's Hernandez now. Reyes will follow, and then Lo Duca. The 5-4 Mets lead here in the 6th.
Spezio playing way in, respecting the speed of Hernandez. Those slap hitters, those left-handers, just slap the ball on the ground and try to beat out infield hits.
Hernandez with a 1-ball, 1-strike count. Foul tip, strike 2. The Detroit Tigers are up 3 games to nothing. They beat Oakland today, and a cold day in Detroit, 3-zip. And Kenny Rogers got into the 8th inning. Rodney and Todd Jones finished up. 2 hits allowed today by Detroit.
Kenny Rogers against the Yankees, 7 2/3 innings of work. And against the Athletics, 7 1/3 innings. 2 brilliant games for the Tigers.
On the air at 4 o'clock Eastern tomorrow as Hernandez strikes out. Foul tip into the mitt of Yadier Molina, 1 down. Anderson is saying, wait a minute, you gave the safe sign and then called me out. Hernandez, that ball hit the dirt. And Molina sold it to Jim Joyce. And Hernandez believes he should still be at the plate. He was trapped by Yadier Molina, but the Cardinals get away with it. Unless he is claiming, the home plate umpire, that Hernandez did not make any contact with it. Either way, he is the first out here in the bottom of the 6th, and Reyes, who is 2 out of 3, goes bunt, takes a breaking ball for ball 1. Lo Duca next.
Almost like whichever team is ahead after 6 innings with the bullpens of both teams has a decided advantage. And that advantage lies with the Mets. Once again, 78-4 are the Mets. 78-4 when they had the lead after 6 innings.
That includes 4-0 this postseason.
Yeah.
Reyes with the count in his favor, 2-0. Takes ball 3.
You know, it's always nice when you can have that starter stretch out and go deep into the game, because it gives those guys in the bullpen a lot of rest. But they really have had a lot of rest because they finished that first divisional series so fast that these guys are all fresh out there. And of course, when you have a guy like Billy Wagner closing games out, you like your chances.
1 out, bases empty, and a strike to make it 3-1. Weaver pitched very well last night. He's taken out of the ballpark by Beltran. And was the loser in game 1. Reyes takes ball 4, a 1-out walk. Paul Lo Duca is coming up, and it's our HP player personality. The profile on Paul Lo Duca. Favorite band, U2. Favorite actor, Robert De Niro. Big fan of the Phoenix Suns. And he owns racehorses. He loves the ponies, and he is digging in and watching Yadier Molina go to the mound. HP, the computer, is personal again. Here it is again with Reyes on, Lo Duca at the plate. And a running situation for the Mets as Randy Flores gets loose for St. Louis in their pen. Strike 1.
Once again, Lo Duca taking the first pitch with Reyes on at first base. He'll even take up to 2 strikes at times, giving Reyes a chance to run. There's some Met fans running for the hot dog.
If Lo Duca's quote is, you have to trust the guys behind you in this lineup, you trust the guy in front of him too. Giving him a chance to run. You expect to see at some point if Reyes gets a jump here in the 6th. In at the knees, 0-2.
Lo Duca complaining, but we talked about how pitchers can't complain. Catchers can't complain about pitches either. A very liberal strike zone tonight by Jim Joyce.
Is fair down the left field line. Reyes will run, scoop to third, fly to the plate, and it's a 2-run Mets lead. been 16 innings of scoreless pitching from the Cardinal bullpen this postseason until the two-strike double hit by Paul Lo Duca to score Jose Reyes.
And that's why Paul can afford to take so many pitches, because he is an excellent two-strike hitter. That ball hangs in the middle of the plate. It was down, but it was in the middle of the plate from Hancock, and Lo Duca off the end of the bat down the left field line. And when you get a ball down the line with Reyes at first, that's an RBI.
La Russa out of the dugout to make the change. A walk to Reyes. A double by Lo Duca. Another run for the Mets, who lead 6-4. Josh Hancock came back to the Cardinal dugout and let the dugout bench bear the brunt of his frustration. First pitch strike from Flores to Beltran. Up the middle. Belliard on the other side of the bag makes an unbelievable play. On the shortstop side, throwing across his body, 2 out.
I don't think I've ever seen a second baseman go that far on the left side of second base and end up in the hole on the left side to make a play against a speedy runner like Beltran.
It really was. I mean, he saw the ball hit, knew where Eckstein was playing, and he knew he had to go for it. Made a fantastic. He actually rounded that ball. Most of the times on a speedy runner like Beltran, you got to get rid of it in a hurry.
Showed the good arm. The Cardinals picked up Belliard from the Indians. They knew he was a good second baseman. They have been pleasantly surprised how good he is at second base. Now Delgado, who's had a huge night. A 3-run home run and a solo shot. 4 of the 6 runs batted in belong to Delgado. There are the regular season numbers for Randy Flores with a runner at third here, 2 out. Strike 1 to Delgado.
And if Flores is going to get him out, he wants to stay in off the plate. He does not want to let Carlos Delgado get his arms extended, as we've seen here twice tonight, hitting home runs the opposite way.
First pitch was a strike in there, and now down and away. 1-1. Randy Flores, one of 2 left-handers Tony La Russa has in his bullpen. Tyler Johnson, the other. He pitched last night. Back inside and low, 2-1.
Carlos Delgado's first love was volleyball. And when he was 14 years old, his dad said, Carlos, there aren't that many professional volleyball players. Choose baseball. I think he chose the right sport.
The 2-1 to the right side, and Belliard gets the assist on the final 2 outs to help out Flores. Lo Duca's hit, and the speed of Jose Reyes scoring easily from first. 2-run lead. Back after this from your local Fox station. Guillermo Mota takes over for the Mets, part of that very deep and versatile bullpen. And a couple of things are happening here. Joe Buck, Luis Gonzalez, and Tim McCarver. The Cardinals now have used Carpenter tonight. He's on the hook for the loss. And within this series, they have a total of 7 hits. 2 of them are extra base hits, so they're not hitting. And so far, Albert Pujols doesn't have a base hit against the Mets.
Well, right now, they have 3 innings to score 2 runs to at least tie it before this game is over in regulation.
David Eckstein is first up, top of the order, and the Cardinals right now are facing a trip back to St. Louis down 2-0. And unless they can figure out how to string some hits together against the Mets bullpen.
And these guys have been dominant as of late. They are all feeling very confident out there. course, it always helps when you have that lead going late into the game. And Mota's done a great job. Yesterday came in, do some good fastballs by some pretty good hitters there. So that bullpen's well rested and ready to go.
Oh-2 pitch. Valentine to his right, picks it up with a backhand. Good play, 1 out.
Good play by Valentine. He made one last night. So even though he's hitless in the postseason, doing a fine job on defense.
Luis, here's the guy that you were talking about coming into the start of this game, and that's Chris Duncan in the all-important number 2 spot in front of Albert Pujols. So far 0 for 3 with a pair of strikeouts.
Yeah, he's really scuffled a little bit. He's swinging at some pitch a little bit out of his zone, over anxious.
Easy play for Chavez in left, 2 out. And Pujols again will bat with the bases empty. Our game summary is brought to you by Nissan. Delgado, a pair of home runs, a 3-run shot, a solo shot the other way. And on the other side, the big slugger for the Cardinals and the reigning MVP, Albert Pujols, 0 for 5 in this series as he stands in. That is the only 4-game hitless streak of his career. Back when he was a rookie of 2001.
That just goes to show you how dominant this guy is as a player. In baseball, you run through all kinds of streaks, but you very rarely see a guy like Albert Pujols not get hits in a ball game.
That is remarkable since his rookie season.
It really is. I did not know that.
He has walked and scored tonight, grounded out, fly to right. Why this is such a big story, the count goes to 2-0, is when you start to match the numbers Pujols has put together here the first 6 years of his career against the greatest to ever play the game. He matches up across the board in average hits, home runs, RBIs. 6 years and a career .332 hitter. .30 pitch. 96-mile-an-hour strike with Jim Edmonds on deck.
That's pretty impressive when you can talk about a guy and use the term in the history of the game. In the history of the game.
Pujols too quick. 97-mile-an-hour fastball, and the count's full.
So far, totally befuddled by the Mets pitching staff.
Two out, bases empty, and another foul. Here are the names and the numbers. And these are some of the greatest players in the history of the game. Ted Williams, Willie Mays, Hank Aaron, Barry Bonds, and Pujols. He's got them in average, everybody but Ted Williams. More home runs than any of them. More RBIs than anyone else on that list. Babe Ruth, as you see at the bottom, a pitcher his first 6 seasons. So far in this series, 0 for 5. And in a battle with Mota.
And that just goes to show you every night when this guy goes out to play, you're looking at a very special player.
You're looking at a very special hat that Mota has on. That thing is as soiled as any hat that I've seen in years.
3 balls, 2 strikes. Only been with his team since August.
It's like a Met hat he bought in Cleveland.
Albert Pujols trying to figure out a way to jumpstart this Cardinal offense. 4 hits last night, 3 hits tonight. Another 3-2 pitch. And another foul ball.
You just don't see the at-bats that Pujols has had the last 2 nights. You just are not used to seeing these types of at-bats. Way out in front in hitters counts. He gets a 3-1 fastball. He fouls it off. Of course, more of an understandable swing for a mere mortal right there. Not for Albert Pujols.
But when you're struggling like Albert has been the last, well, we say struggling, most major league ball players do it all the time, but 3 games is something unheard of for him. But what he's doing is he's expanding his strike zone a little bit and swinging at pitches that he normally doesn't.
Well, we've seen Mota hit 98 on the radar gun. His changeup, that last one, 88. And Pujols can't get one fair.
And really, you have to give a lot of credit to the Mets pitching staff because they put Albert in situations where he can't hurt them.
Once again, it bears repeating. He has been up to the plate with a man on base once the last 2 games.
Hard hit and down the left field line. The first hit of this series for Pujols. Played well by Chavez. And Pujols has a 2-out single.
About that play by Chavez. Pujols limping, going around first base. A rocket down the left field line. But watch the play by Indy Chavez. He gets to it so quickly. This is a tough carom for a left-handed thrower. That is a fine play to hold Pujols to a single.
An 11-pitch at bat. Ends with a hit for Pujols and a little stumble around the first base bag. Now Pujols and Delgado talk as Edmonds, who has hit 1 2-run homer tonight, waits at the plate. The shot in the 3rd inning tied it at 4. 99-mile-an-hour pitch from Mota. Ball 1 to the Cardinal center fielder. Little high, 2-0. In the 3rd inning against John Maine. This tied the game at 4. Since then, the Mets have had a home run from Delgado, his 2nd of the night, and an RBI double by Paul Lo Duca, and lead at 6-4.
Well, this is a good situation from Edmonds. Mota's a fastball pitcher, and Edmonds loves the fastball.
Counts 3-0 with Spezio on deck.
I think Tony La Russa will let him hit right now. 3-0. Looking for a fastball, and will get one as Aaron Howman is throwing for the Mets.
Taking a walk and giving Spezio a chance with 2 on and 2 out. And now Willie Randolph will jog out and talk to Mota. The guy at the plate, Spezio, has had some big numbers in the postseason. Spezio is 12 out of 18 with runners in scoring position in his history during the postseason. Hit .353 for the Angels in the ALCS in 2002 with 5 RBIs, and in the World Series, Game 6, 3-run home run, which brought the Angels back. They won it in 7, hitting it off Felix Rodriguez. Rolling on the bench. His spot taken by Spezio, and Scott bats with 2 on and 2 out. Fooled by a changeup, strike 1.
Good changeup from Mota.
Yeah, most hitters, after the pitching coach comes out and talks to you, and after he walks a guy, you're sitting dead red. So Mota did a fantastic job there mixing it up.
Again, it's 0-2.
Change after change.
Hooks it foul down the right field line.
Tried to sneak that fastball by him inside, and Spezio was ready. Pulled it foul. Down and in. A lot of home runs hit in that area, particularly by left-handed hitters.
Missed his target that Lo Duca set up for him by 1.5 feet. Still 0-2.
That's the thing to do. If you're having a problem getting together on a pitch selection, go out and talk and make sure. If Mota wants to come inside and Lo Duca wants to go outside, often those pitches end up in the middle of the plate.
And these two guys have worked together before. They were teammates with the Los Angeles Dodgers.
Right. For Mota going to a number of teams, including Cleveland. Talked about that earlier. Florida.
Get great stuff. The count 0-2 on Spezio. 2 on, 2 out. 2-run New York lead. And a fly ball into right field. Back is Green in the corner, and this ball is played off the wall. 2 runs are going to score. Pujols, now Edmonds, and it's a 6-6 game. The Cardinals are saying that was a home run, and it looked like it got over that blue wall.
It did.
But the right field umpire is Tim Welke, the crew chief, and Tony La Russa is going to go out and argue. Let's take a look and see if this ball hits black or blue. Off the glove and off the top of the wall. That ball's in play, and the right call made by Welke. Off the edge of the glove, nearly caught, and then off the top of the wall. That was called very well by the crew chief, Tim Welke, who's working his 6th LCS.
Initially, you couldn't tell if it was off the glove, off the back of the wall, but it was off the edge of the fence, and it was not a home run. But once again, Mota trying to come inside to Scott Spezio with the fastball, and now the umpires are going to convene to see if he made the right call. He appeared to make the right call.
Oh, yeah, there's no doubt he made the right call, and now you wonder if the umpires are going to change it to the incorrect call.
Yeah, right.
There is no instant replay in baseball. The Cardinals bench exploded, arguing that it was a home run. It was not. The right call was made by Tim Welke, and we'll see if this conference keeps the call in place. It's a tie game. If the ball's ruled a home run, the Cardinals lead 7-6.
Well, this is the right thing to do. I mean, the umpires are going to get together, talk about it. We're not on a time limit here, so they just want to make sure they get it right. But Welke was the guy who saw it the best angle. He's out there on the line. That's the benefit we have of postseason play, where normally you have 4 umpires, but you're able to add 2 more in postseason and have 6. 1 down the left field line and 1 down the right field line.
See, the one thing the umpires didn't have was that shot that we have above the fence, where you could clearly see that it did not hit the back wall. It was off the edge of the fence.
Well, nobody got a better look at it than Tim Welke.
No.
He made the correct call and now has to defend his call to his fellow umpires. And it is ruled a triple. They got the call right the first time, and they stayed with the right call after getting everybody together. That was very well handled by this group headed by Tim Welke.
Yep.
Spezio came within inches of putting St. Louis on top. As it stands, he has tied the game, and Welke's right there. I mean, he did a good job of hustling down the line and getting the look at it. And now we'll have a pitching change as the Cardinals and Spezio, who got the start, La Russa sitting Roland, playing Spezio. They've tied it, and Mota is finished. Heilman will take over. Encarnacion coming up. It's a 6-6 game in the 7th. Tony La Russa made his argument, but it stands as a triple for Scott Spezio. And moments ago, it was Eckstein who got the word from the clubhouse watching on TV that it was not a home run, and he informs La Russa that the umpires got the call right. So as it is, it's 6-6 in the 7th. Runner at third is Spezio with the biggest swing of the bat tonight in the series for St. Louis, and Encarnacion faces Aaron Heilman. Setup reliever for the Mets, and Lo Duca hauls in ball 1.
And Joe, before that hit, you talked about the litany of hits that Scott Spezio has had in the postseason that have been big hits, and yet another one tonight for the Cardinals.
One ball, one strike on Encarnacion.
I questioned the pitch selection. 0-2 on Spezio. He looked so bad, so poorly on the first two changeups. He just missed an 0-2 fastball down and in that he pulled foul. And then you may remember Lo Duca went out to talk to Mota. He came back, was set up away, and the pitch was inside. To me, that's got to be a changeup. He looked so bad on the first two changeups, and Mota sticking with the fastball. And Pedro Martinez talking to him right now. I wonder if that's what they're talking about.
Realize that Spezio is a guy who was wondering if his career was over last year. He was released by Seattle, didn't hit for the Mariners at all. Got himself into great shape and made the Cardinals out of spring training. Encarnacion hits a one-hopper to Valentin. Good play. And the inning is over. Spezio delivers for St. Louis a two-out, two-run triple. A single, a walk, a triple, all with two out in the 7th. Time to stretch here at Shea Stadium. 6-6, Mets and Cardinals. The League Championship Series on Fox, sponsored by WebMD. Better information, better health. By Nissan, who invites you to shift the way you move through the world. And by Travelers Insurance, In Sync. Our Travelers In Sync box score for the Mets as they come to the plate here in the bottom of the 7th inning. Reyes has had his best night of the postseason so far this year. Lo Duca with an RBI double. Beltran hitless, but Delgado isn't. 2 hits, 4 at-bats, 2 home runs, 4 RBIs. Don't forget, tomorrow, another big day of baseball like today. Oakland at Detroit, Game 4, with Detroit going for the sweep. Coverage begins at 4 Eastern, 1 o'clock Pacific, and then we'll follow in St. Louis, Game 3, Mets and Cardinals. Coverage begins at 7:30 Eastern, 6:30 Central, 4:30 Pacific, or whenever the American League game ends, I'm told. So here is the matchup for ALCS Game 4. Bonderman and Danny Herron, a former Cardinal, who was traded from Mulder. Here's David Wright. And Josh Kenny gets loose for the Cardinals as Flores goes back to work. Flores got 2 groundouts. Beltran and Delgado stranded a runner last inning. And now starts the 7th in a 6-6 game. And Wright goes after the first pitch and pops it up. Jim Edmonds, like Kelly Leak in Bad News Bears, cutting in front of Chris Duncan and taking charge to make sure that he has the shot at the pop-up into left center, and he can let Chris Duncan worry about the next play. Let's go pitch by pitch in the home run.
Well, the two changeups, first pitch, second pitch. Then Lo Duca went out and talked to Mota after the 0-2 pitch with full foul. Look at him moving the glove up in the strike zone. It was a fastball, and there are game situations from the 7th inning on, and with runners on base, a catcher has to determine what the out pitch is. There's no more fooling a guy. And because Spezio looked so poorly on those first two change-ups, I think that's what you've got to go with. Instead, he went with the fastball, and Spezio tied the game up.
I said home run, obviously the triple to tie this game, and then Spezio was left at third when Encarnacion grounded out. Now Flores deals with Green. The 1-ball, 1-strike count now. 1 out, nobody on. Pujols to his left. Runs into the umpire, but beats Green to the bag. 2 out. That was a Jerry Lane, Albert Pujols collision. But Pujols stayed on his feet.
Good play by both Pujols and Lane. One with a glove, one without.
One with baseball pants on, one with great slacks. 2 out, bases empty, and the batter, Jose Valentin.
You know, talking about that Spezio triple, that whole inning was generated after the first 2 outs were made, with Albert Pujols fouling off a ton of pitches and getting that one pitch to hit down the line for his first hit of the series.
Yeah. And a walk to Edmonds, and then one off the top of the wall by Spezio. Valentin batting right-handed gets his first hit of the postseason. Now 1 for 16. So the inning continues, and Endy Chavez will step in. Willie Randolph telling Endy Chavez during spring training, why are you taking such a big swing? Cut it down, hit the ball the other way, and run. He's done that. He's believed in that philosophy, and he hit .306. As we said earlier, became a Shea Stadium favorite here. Grounds one right to Belliard in this game. Game number 2. With the Mets up 1-0 we'll go tied into the 8th. Here at Shea, it's 6-6. 8th inning now, and Heilman, who finished off the top of the 7th by getting Encarnacion to ground out, will work to the bottom 3 in the St. Louis lineup. 6-6 game. It is a battle of the bullpens, and Heilman had a similar season to the now Cardinals closer, Adam Wainwright. 2 guys who want to be starters. Heilman especially was not quiet about the fact, and while the Mets were struggling early and looking for starting pitching, making deals for guys like El Duque from Arizona, Willie Randolph and Omar Minaya resisted the temptation to put Heilman in the rotation and left him setting up Billy Wagner. He's got great stuff, and he's out in front of Belliard. 1 ball, 2 strikes.
Rarely do you have 2 pitchers in the same bullpen with similar stuff like Heilman and like Mota. Both with good fastballs, both with excellent changeups. Willie Randolph thinks Mota's may be better.
Valentin's been busy tonight. 1 out in the 8th. Fifth time that a Cardinal is grounded out to Valentin at second base, and with the bases empty, here's Yadier Molina. 2 out of 3. Preston Wilson is on deck. With 1 out, Molina checks his swing on ball 1. Randy Flores did a nice job, an inning and 2/3, no runs, 1 hit. There's the changeup, 1 ball, 1 strike. Josh Kenny, who has never faced the Mets, getting loose for St. Louis in their pen. Strike 2 on Molina.
You know, what's made both these bullpens so effective lately has been their abilities to throw strikes.
Whether it's been Bradford, Feliciano, Mota, Heilman, Hancock, or Flores have all come out of the bullpen throwing strikes. And it stays 1-2 on Yadier Molina. Molina fouls it away, fights it off, and stays up there. Our director, Bill Webb, has been in that seat for all the years we've been covering baseball in the postseason. And how many times has he had one of his cameras trained on a pitcher? Typically, it's Andy Pettit peering over the edge of his glove and under the bill of his cap. Aaron Heilman, same start to his delivery. And Molina has his 3rd hit of the night. Does not run well. And Chavez will make the play on the line and hold Molina to a single.
Now do you pinch run for Molina? Because during a regulation game, Molina, his spot will not come up again. So do you pinch run for Molina and perhaps put Gary Bennett, backup catcher, in the game?
I think, guys, if you ask Tony La Russa why he wouldn't, what would be on the other side of that? The running game of the Mets and what Yadier Molina gives in a tight game. Reyes is the #2 hitter in the bottom of this 8th inning, and he'd rather have Molina behind the plate with his arm and worry about adding speed at first. Here's Preston Wilson pinch hitting, and he takes a strike.
And just go 1 base at a time with Molina. That makes sense.
Wilson now, Eckstein on deck. But Molina can't outrun at all. That's foul. Strike 2. There is his stepdad, Preston's stepdad, Mookie Wilson. He was here game 6 of the '86 World Series with that slow roller up the first baseline, and he said as a young boy he saw it all until the ball got to the bag and everybody stood up and his view of the play was blocked. Stepdad Mookie hit that ball. Here's the 0-2 pitch, 1 on, 1 out. Ball 1. Preston's got some pop. 17 home runs during the regular season, 8 with the Cardinals in 32 games, and he is a career .313 hitter with 13 home runs in 47 games here at Shea, where he grew up. And it's still 1-2.
Well, Hyman continues to pound him in, and he's not able to get good swings off. And when he has missed away, he has missed way off the plate.
Fastball away.
Too far away, 2-2.
Well, that's not a bad pitch for him to throw right there. I guarantee you he's going to come back in and try to throw that ball on the inner half of the plate, because that's where he's been getting Preston to not take good swings off of him.
Fastball inside. You're right.
Got a little more of the plate, but Wilson could not do anything with it. There are the career numbers in the 46 games at Shea Stadium. 13 home runs and a career average of over 300.
He might have been taking batting practice out here when his dad was also. He feels very comfortable out here.
Running around the hallways as a kid with the other players' kids.
Changeup.
Go ahead, run it first with 1 out. 2 out.
In and out with the fastball. No breaking balls whatsoever to Wilson. In and out with the fastballs and finishes Preston off with a changeup.
So now it's Eckstein. 0 for 3 with a walk, a stolen base, and a guy who during the regular season hit 2 home runs and hit .292. Power threat and Chris Duncan waiting on deck. That is down the right field line, foul. And again, there's Eckstein with 2 strikes. And here comes the crowd, 56,000 plus to their feet.
Hoping for a strikeout, but very difficult to strike out. One of the toughest in the game. When swinging, he made contact on 93%. 93% of the pitches this year.
That's foul and out of play. So you can get him to 2 strikes, but finishing off Eckstein is not easy to do. Always one of the toughest to strike out in baseball year after year. When Willie Randolph made the switch and brought Heilman into the game last inning, he did not double switch, so the pitcher's spot, Heilman's spot, is due to lead off in the bottom of this 8th. Down the left field line, hooking into the corner, and foul. That got Cardinal players up off the dugout bench, but it was foul down the left field line.
I was thinking the same thing, and watched the Cardinal reaction in their dugout, thinking that perhaps this ball has a chance. But foul.
Heilman's 0-2, ball 1.
If you ever want to know a hitter's reaction, he'll let you know if it's fair or foul. Eckstein never moved when he hit that ball.
Spoken by a guy with 331 lifetime home runs.
Another foul.
And that's what Eckstein does so well. He makes you work to get him out. If you're going to get him out, you're going to earn it up there. Heilman continues to throw every pitch that he has in his arsenal. He can't find one to get Eckstein out.
Yeah, if you're going to get him out, you have to wear him out. That's tough to do.
pulled as many as he has flipped to the right side. So Heilman still trying to find a way. Again, Chris Duncan, who is a rookie who hit 22 home runs on deck. Eckstein trying to give him a chance here in the 8th inning. Tie game. Game 2. And he'll need a new bat to continue to foul off pitches.
That was a saw job right there.
I tell you what, when you see the swing, he did a fantastic job just getting the barrel to that ball.
Hit it before it hits you.
Crowd's tired of standing. Standing since it was 0-2, and now it's been one foul after another. Eckstein, wild pitch, and that'll get Molina into scoring position.
That is very interesting right there. Trying to wear Eckstein out. Heilman finally throws a wild pitch and moves Molina into the only place on the bases that perhaps he could score. If Eckstein hits it hard at an outfielder, it's going to be tough for Jose Oquendo to send Molina from second base.
Oquendo, a very aggressive third base coach. 2-2. What an at-bat.
And what a lead from Yadier Molina. You have to cheat somewhere. If you can't run, if you're not a fast runner, you've got to cheat somewhere. And Molina about halfway.
And he's able to take a little bit bigger lead because he knows the middle infielders aren't even worried about him. They're trying to concentrate and get Eckstein.
An 11-pitch at bat will continue for at least the 12th. And Eckstein in this mano-a-mano lockdown with Heilman, trying to find a spot in this defense. And it better be the right spot if it's going to score Yadier Molina.
Right now, left center field is a slot. If Eckstein can pull one there, that's his best chance to score Molina.
To the right side, Valentin stays down on it. Almost fell over as he threw it, and the inning is over. We go into the bottom of the 8th. There's that lift you were talking about. Still tied 6-6. The League Championship Series on Fox is sponsored by Sharp Aquos. Nothing is lost. By E-Trade Financial. And by Toyota. Moving forward. Fourth pitcher of the night, Josh Kenny takes over. A great story. A guy who was pitching outside St. Louis for an independent baseball team called the River City Rascals. The Cardinals brought him into their organization. He has been all over the minor leagues. Finally got the call up, and he is part of that reinvented bullpen for Tony La Russa as a primary setup man for the closer Adam Wainwright. So Josh Kenny on the mound, Julio Franco coming up, Billy Wagner getting loose in the Mets bullpen, and the Cardinals are waiting on something out of their dugout. Tony La Russa hopped up to the top step, got Jim Joyce's attention, and we're a little delayed here at the start of the bottom of the 8th. So you wonder if we're going to have a defensive switch in a tie game in the bottom of the 8th. It will be so Taguchi to take over in left field. And the reason why this happened now is because Heilman's out of the game. Franco is coming up to hit for Heilman. The only guy warming up is the left-hander Billy Wagner. So instead of leaving Duncan in the game, a suspect outfielder still learning, for an at-bat against Heilman, now that Heilman is out and Franco is the pinch hitter, Tony La Russa adds to his defense, and he has Taguchi to lead off in the top of the 9th inning against Billy Wagner, who looks like will take over no matter what the score. And now Molina calls time. Franco has seen it all in his long big league career in his 48 years, so he's not bothered by all these delays and waits for the first pitch from Kinney.
Well, we've talked about it a number of times because Julio Franco points his bat at the pitcher. He has such an arc to get to the ball in the strike zone that the chances of him hitting the ball to right field are great. I'd say about 80%. The only ball he can pull is a ball down and in, and he doesn't see that many with Jose Reyes on deck.
Okay, are we ready for the bottom of the 8th? It's a 6-6 game. Strike one. Now, these Mets have never seen Kinney. He's got a couple of different breaking balls. He's got an above-average fastball. And whether it's Franco now or Reyes on deck or Lo Duca, they are going to be looking at this Cardinal right-hander for the first time, which usually favors the pitcher. That breaking ball drops in for strike two.
Franco thought that ball was low, but look at all that Julio Franco has to do to get the bat head out front. He's got a long way to go. In fact, no major leaguer that I know of has that bat pointed at the pitcher quite like Franco, and Kenny gets it.
Two nasty breaking balls to finish off Franco, and that is out number one here in the bottom of the 8th inning.
And that's a tough situation for a guy like Franco. Hasn't seen Kenny before. The only thing really he goes by is scouting reports and maybe video of watching other hitters facing Kenny.
Heilman, by the way, who was lifted for the pinch hitter, went an inning and a third. No runs, 1 hit, 1 strikeout. Here's Reyes. Ball one high.
And this is a big out right here for the Cardinals, because I'll tell you, when you're on defense and you have a guy like Reyes with a lot of speed, he puts a ton of pressure on you, especially late in the ball game when it's tied 6-6.
Saw his eyes shift over, looking at Pujols over at first base, see how deep he was prior to that second pitch, and it counts 1 ball, 1 strike. Pujols is about even with a bag.
How do you get Reyes out? What National League pitchers try to do is to get him to hit the ball in the air the other way. He has power when he pulls the ball, but to center and left field, not power.
Breaking ball got away from Kinney. 2-1. 27-year-old rookie Josh Kinney has handed the biggest inning for the Cardinals to this point in 2006. And Reyes reaches him for a 1-out single up the middle.
What a night for Reyes. His third hit, he scored 2 runs and driven in 1. The only thing he hasn't done is steal a base. And that's what the Mets look for him to do right here.
Well, this is what I was talking about earlier. Now he's on base. Kenny's going to be concentrating on Reyes at first base, and Lo Duca, if he gets something up in the zone, he might be able to hit it in the gaps, and with the speed of Reyes, he can score from first base.
As he did the last time Lo Duca was up.
Ball 1 from Kenny. This is the reason why Molina stayed in the game and wasn't lifted for the pinch runner. There is no better throwing catcher in the National League than Yadier Molina.
And Kenny with that slider, if he throws it over the outer half of the plate, Lo Duca has been known to hit that ball to right center.
Reyes started and stopped over at first. I don't know if Kenny saw that out of the corner of his eye or not, but the pitch is up and in, 2-0. Beltran on deck, and we saw Tyler Johnson getting loose out in the Cardinal bullpen moments ago.
Yeah, that was a slide step by Josh Kinney, and that's why the pitch ended up as poorly as it did, up and in on Lo Duca. You can see this is not his normal style. Left foot low to the ground to hasten the delivery home because of the speed of Reyes. Not only the middle infielders change, your outfielders change, your pitcher, your catcher, everybody changes with this guy on base.
More of the normal delivery, but high again, and it's 3-0. With one out, a hit by Reyes, a walk by Lo Duca, and Beltran, who has crushed Cardinal pitching in the postseason this year and in 04, is coming up. Last night, the only runs of the night, a 2-out, 6th-inning blast into right field off Jeff Weaver. The Cardinals like Kenny against left-handed hitters. But with the way Beltran has hit Cardinal pitching in LCS play, they don't like anybody against Beltran with his 5 home runs and 31 NLCS at-bats against the Cardinals.
I think one of the reasons that Tony La Russa is not making the move with the left-hander to face Beltran is you turn him around to the right side. That makes it easier for Reyes to steal third base. But with the left-hander, with Beltran hitting left-handed, it's doubtful that Reyes will go because Molina has such a good view of him. Much easier to throw with the left-handed hitter up there with a runner on at second base.
Ball one from Kenny.
Plus, Eckstein, because Beltran's hitting left-handed, Eckstein can hold Reyes close at second base.
Kenny has missed with 5 straight. A hit by Reyes, a walk to Lo Duca. Left-handed hitters hit 162 against Josh Kinney. Because of that breaking ball right there. Strike one.
Josh told me yesterday that he tries to get on top of the breaking ball more for left-handed batters to get that downward action more than he does against right-handed hitters.
Another one in for strike 2. Against the Cardinal bullpen so far this postseason, the opposition has 1 hit in 26 at-bats with runners in scoring position. Beltran trying to figure out Kenny and put the Mets back out in front. Breaking ball grounded to Belliard. Out at second. Out Out at first, a double play as Kenny, the 27-year-old rookie, gets into and out of trouble and keeps this a tie game going into the ninth with Taguchi, Pujols, and Edmonds coming up. Scott Spezio with the biggest swing of the bat so far this postseason for St. Louis, with a 2-out, 2-run triple back in the 7th inning. And now Billy Wagner, the closer, takes over for the Mets in a 6-6 game, and so Taguchi takes a strike. Wagner got the save last night, 1 inning, 1 walk, and he has not blown a save against St. Louis. And granted, this is not a save opportunity, but he has not messed up against the Cardinals since July 11th of 1998. A 1.25 ERA against the Cardinals in that time span. 0-2 and a blink on So Taguchi. First at bat of this series for Taguchi, and he stays up there with a foul tip. Taguchi with a home run this postseason. Came in game 3 against San Diego in St. Louis last Saturday. Ball 1. Albert Pujols on deck, and then Jim Edmonds. Taguchi checks his swing. The pitch looked to be pretty good, and it's called ball 2, 2-2.
It was a slider that backed up and went around the plate. Good call by Jim Joyce.
Count even, 2 balls, 2 strikes. That's low, and it's a full count. Pretty good rip by Taguchi.
Good pitch to hit there. Did like that one back. The one thing about Billy Wagner, he throws so hard with such bite on his slider. He can use the middle of the plate. He does not have to throw to corners.
Now Taguchi involved in a good at bat, as we saw Eckstein do last inning against Heilman.
Here on Billy right here, he's got to come right at him. He can't afford to walk Taguchi with Albert Pujols on deck.
And Taguchi hits one into left field, back at the wall. This ball is gone. So Taguchi, a home run to put St. Louis on top, 7-6 here in the 9th inning. Second home run of this postseason, and for a guy who went in as much for a defensive replacement in left field last half inning to take over for Duncan, he goes deep to left off Billy Wagner, and the Cardinals lead for the first time tonight. Now Pujols. Ball 1.
Tell you, Tony La Russa gets at least an assist in this home run. He waited, inserted Taguchi late, and here he is leading off the 9th inning with a tiebreaker. Second postseason home run. He knew he was going to get a fastball, and he got it.
Pujols way out in front of a 2-0 slider, 2-1.
And Taguchi had such a professional at bat there. He took a couple close pitches, fouled some off, got the fastball over the outer half of the plate. Just what he had to be looking for there on a 3-2 count, and was able to take charge of it.
Pujols out in front again. The count evens 2-2. So Taguchi played in Japan for Oryx. He hit 67 home runs while in Japan. Had hit a total of 16 home runs with the Cardinals. coming to the Cardinals in 2002. And he just had his biggest swing to put the Cardinals on top. Now Pujols, 2 for his last 2. Chavez makes the play. Pujols reads it and gets into scoring position with nobody out here in the 9th inning.
It's an old Pete Rose line that you can round first base as far as you want to with the ball hit to left field and see the development of the throw. Andy Chavez makes a great play cutting it off, but now he has to stop, throw. Pujols had rounded the bag, saw it was toward the pitcher's mound, and then he went to second base. Here it is again. Rounds the bag and almost stops. Sees the ball, the throw toward the pitcher's mound, and goes to second base.
Now it's Edmonds. How will the Cardinals play with Edmonds? He shows bunt, bunts it foul. And Luis, you talked about it last inning, referencing the 7th, when you said the guy who started the rally was Pujols, a long at bat, battling, getting a hit against Mota. Then a walk to Edmonds, then Spezio hits the ball off the top of the wall, the 2-out, 2-run triple to tie it. And now the Cardinals have gone out in front of the home run by Taguchi. Cardinals change up and let Edmonds swing. Now Pujols is 2 for his last 2 after a double, and that's the official scoring ruling. A double by Pujols on that ball hit into left. It's an 0-2 count on Edmonds at the plate.
And that's great news for the Cardinals fans to see this guy start to heat up. 2 hits in his last 2 at-bats.
On 0-2, Edmonds grounds to the right side and advances Pujols to third, 1 out. Good at bat by Jim Edmonds. Pujols 90 feet away, and Spezio will be the hitter. Comparing the 2 bullpens, the Mets have thrown over 100 pitches out of their pen with a combination of Bradford, Feliciano, Mota, Heilman, and now Wagner.
Mets infield, of course, will be drawn in with 1 out and Pujols at third base. It's doubtful that Pujols will be running on contact on a ground ball to any infield position. He'll make the ball go through.
Runner at third, 1 out. Spezio takes a strike on the inside corner. Slider from Wagner. Another from Wagner, a slider. Spezio over the top of it. It's 0-2.
2 good sliders from Billy Wagner. They look like strikes, but aren't. Those balls down around the ankles.
Tyler Johnson and Adam Wainwright getting loose for St. Louis in their bullpen.
I think the reason Johnson is up is Delgado leads off the 9th inning. The Cardinals don't score, and Delgado would represent the tying run.
Spezio hits it fair down the right field line. Pujols scores. It's 8-6, and Spezio has a double. Last night when Tony La Russa left this park, he mentioned that he would give Rolen another shot in the lineup tonight. He changed his mind. He talked to us before the game, saying that's not going to be a pleasant conversation when I have my talk with Rolen and tell him that he's not in tonight's starting lineup. Spezio got the nod, and he has delivered with 3 RBIs and 2 extra base hits.
Yeah, a triple to tie it back in the 7th, and now a double to extend the lead in the 9th.
A visit from Rick Peterson, the pitching coach, talking to Billy Wagner. And this more to see moment is presented by Sharp Aquos Liquid Crystal Television. The ball off the glove of Sean Green and off the very top of the wall. with 2 out. So close to the final out of the inning and so close to a 3-run home run. It was a 2-out, 2-run triple, tying the game at 6. And the Cardinals have gone out in front for the first time here in the 9th. Darren Oliver gets loose. Encarnacion grounds one through the right side. Spezio coming to the plate. Sean Green does not make a throw. And it's been a 3-run 9th inning and a 9-6 St. Louis lead.
Well, the Cardinals have picked the perfect time to come alive with their offense here against one of the best closers in baseball, Billy Wagner.
Started with a home run by Taguchi, a double by Pujols. Edmonds grounded out to advance Pujols. And now hits by Spezio and Encarnacion have made it 9-6. Now it's Belliard. Wagner checks on Encarnacion. Some of the 56,349. A new LCS record crowd here at Shea Stadium head for the gates. The others who remain are shocked. Belliard hits it down the left field line. Hooking foul. Strike 1.
Joe, this is the worst that you and I have seen Billy Wagner since May 20th when he came in the game in the 9th inning with the Mets up by 4 runs. It was a non-save situation. And Wagner gave up the lead to the Yankees. The Yankees won the ball game. Difference between that game and this game, of course, this is the second game of the postseason, second game of the LCS for the Mets.
He was wild that day with 3 walks, a hit batsman, a couple of hits allowed, blowing the lead. And here the Cardinals have hit Billy Wagner to take the lead. 97-mile-an-hour fastball is high. 1 ball, 1 strike. Carpenter started, went 5 innings, allowed 5 runs on 6 hits. Did not have his good stuff. Encarnacion starts. No play at second base. Encarnacion is there as Belliard grounds out 2 away. And Yadier Molina will walk in with a 3-hit night, 3 out of 4. And Willie Randolph is going to come out. I believe Peterson's been out there.
Yeah.
So a 24-pitch inning for Billy Wagner. Remember, no off day, travel day tomorrow. So instead of letting this inning get out of control and let the pitch count get up there, Wagner is gone. It's 9-6 St. Louis. Billy Wagner takes a seat in the dugout for the Mets. And the reason why the pitching change comes now, I believe, is to try and keep the pitch count down as much as possible with 3 straight games coming up in St. Louis. It's already 9-6 St. Louis on top, and Roberto Hernandez takes over with Yadier Molina at the plate.
I think you're right, Joe. I mean, the future, the near future of Billy Wagner is more important than what happens right now. But you can't help but be taken with Wagner going into the dugout. It's almost like a field goal kicker who just missed a big field goal in a key game.
Molina hits it to third, a high hop, and Wright is going to get Encarnacion trapped in the rundown. Didn't want to make the throw across the first, and Encarnacion finally tagged out. To end the top of the 9th inning, but the Cardinals have their first lead of this NLCS, and it started with a home run by Taguchi in the 9th inning. Bottom half rolls in, 9-6 Cardinals. A reminder coming up, it's your late local news, except on the West Coast. Game 3 will be tomorrow night. These two teams will hop aboard their charters and head to St. Louis at the conclusion of this game. And our game will happen tomorrow night at the conclusion of ALCS Game 4 between Detroit and Oakland, with the Tigers up 3-0. And a matchup of Bonderman and Danny Herron. Meanwhile, here the Cardinals have their first lead of this series, thanks to 3 runs in the top of the 9th inning against Billy Wagner. And it's young Tyler Johnson taking over with the left-handed hitting Delgado at the plate. Adam Wainwright will not be far behind. David Wright on deck. Delgado's had a big night with 2 home runs. And he leans back from one high, ball 1. Those who have followed the Cardinals all year long, to see Tony La Russa use his bullpen in this manner in the postseason, trusting these kids to come in and pitch. He has given the ball to Kenny. Kenny rewarded him in the 8th. He has turned to Adam Wainwright as his closer after Isringhausen went down, and Tyler Johnson, the rookie left-hander, has been involved in some key innings. The 2-0 pitch, 2-1.
Yeah, necessity is the mother of invention, obviously. But Tony La Russa has shrewdly, he and Dave Duncan shrewdly formed this Cardinal bullpen that is stalwart.
This bullpen, which was not that great all year long, has allowed 1 run this entire postseason. That was scored against Hancock back in the 6th. A 2-2 pitch to Delgado, leading off the bottom of the 9th inning, 1 away. On the other side, you've got the New York Mets bullpen. Here comes La Russa. He will go to his now closer, Adam Wainwright. Of course, he's had the decision throughout to go with Looper or Wainwright. Wainwright is now the closer, the rookie right-hander. Talk about the Mets pen as well when we come back. David Wright coming up, and Adam Wainwright coming in. And now the discussion about the Mets bullpen. Willie Randolph went to that pen early and often in the division series. This postseason, 22 pitching changes, 20 1/3 innings, 391 pitches, including 112 tonight, and 11 earned runs allowed by a group that during the regular season had the best ERA in the National League of 3.25. And now Adam Wainwright, who's the new closer for Tony La Russa. 3 saves during the regular season. Takes over. David Wright batting with 1 out and nobody on. And taking a fastball for strike 1. Cardinals got Adam Wainwright from the Atlanta Braves organization a couple of years back. A deal that sent J.D. Drew to Atlanta. Scott Rowland takes over for defensive purposes over at third base. 1 ball, 1 strike, 1 out, nobody on. And to the left side, rolling a dive, a throw, 2 down.
What a play by a third baseman with a bad left shoulder, fully extended, and a rocket to first. Boy, a brilliant play by Scott Rowland here in the 9th inning.
We heard Ken Rosenthal talk about his discussion with Scott Rowland, none too pleased that he got to the park and found out by looking at the lineup card that he was not in the lineup tonight. His replacement, Scott Spezio, has been one of the hitting stars for St. Louis, but rolling in the game, cold off the bench, makes that play to start his night. You know, the Cardinals, Tim and Louie, came into this game thinking, okay, we've got Carpenter. That's how we'll win this game. He doesn't have his best stuff. He's gone after 5 innings. And they've gone to work against the Mets bullpen. Tony La Russa's made one change after another. And Belliard to his right makes the final play, and the Cardinals will split here at Shea Stadium and head home for Game 3 tomorrow night. They'll take the win any way they can get it. They got it in a different fashion than they expected coming in. Whether it's Spezio, the kids out of the bullpen, Taguchi, a lot of unlikely stars tonight for the Cardinals as they win at 9-6.
It was a gritty, determined effort on the part of the Cardinals, and a huge hit, the biggest of his life, by Taguchi.
For the Mets, their first loss when leading after 6 innings since June 16th against Baltimore. And our Chevrolet player of the game, Scott Spezio, with a 2-out, 2-run triple to tie the game back in the 7th. The Cardinals depended on Spezio tonight. Log on to worldseries.com/Fox Sports and vote for your most dependable player of the postseason and a chance to win Chevy's most dependable truck, the all-new Silverado. The Mets had won 47 straight when leading after 6. Tonight, the Cardinals snapped that as they come back to win 9-6. Let's go down to Ken Rosenthal.
Thanks, Joe. We're here with Scott Spezio. Scott, on the game-tying triple, Mota started you off with 2 changeups to get ahead. Then he came back with fastballs. How surprised were you to see the fastballs?
Well, I was sitting on everything. You know, I thought he was probably going to come back with another changeup, and was trying to shorten my swing even more, and trying to wait on anything and protecting. And you know, thank God I got a pitch to hit and put the ball in play.
So Taguchi, not known for his power, what was the reaction when he, of all people, hit the go-ahead home run?
Unbelievable. We were all jumping around down there, but he's got the flair for the dramatic. He's got a lot of power for a little guy, and he had a big home run in the San Diego series as well. So you never know with him up there. He can go deep.
You guys were down 3-0. You were down 6-4. What does this win do for you going back to St. Louis?
Well, it puts us one step closer. You know, we take it one game at a time. We'll focus on tomorrow's game, and after that, the next game. But we have to stay focused on tomorrow's game, and you know, at least we come out of here tied now.
Scott, thank you very much. Joe, back to you.
All right, thank you, Ken Rosenthal. Good work tonight. And the Cardinals get Game 2 after Glavine and the Mets won Game 1. Good start to this NLCS. Each team has a game. Game 3 tomorrow night after Game 4 of the ALCS. What a start to this. Hey ho, let's go to St. Louis. Jeannie and Kevin will be along right after this.